Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is Cee, Certified Brewhead.
And I am Nathan from Nathan Does Beer.
And welcome to the very first episode of our brand new series, The Business of Beer, here on BAOS. This is something that had been in the works for not really that long. We kind of moved on this pretty fast, didn't we?
Yeah, a few seeds have been planted like over a little while, like discussions that we've had like on recording even from a couple of episodes back in the fall, and then other episodes have built on it since then.
Yes, I forgot about that. We did touch on this last year. So essentially, this idea of having a full season where we talk with people, sometimes there'll be one guest and sometimes we pair them up as we've done tonight and we're planning to do for as much as possible. The idea is that like there's been so much conversation and so many things happening in beer around, you know, the industry itself and what's happening with taxation and like all, you know, distribution and
ingredient costs and like inflation, like price per unit, all of it, like things that affect everyone in the business. And there are conversations that, like, as we're talking with brewery owners, brewers, and other staff from the breweries and whatnot, while those episodes very often focus on the breweries themselves, there were so many of these things that kind of kept coming up that affect the industry as a whole. And it even started leading into dedicated episodes talking about like very heavy industry specific topics. And I'll let you take it from there with kind of where this has started this year.
Yeah, so this year, you're exactly right. So this year, Tiff and I did an episode that we shot on New Year's Day around the cost of craft beer, and then we analyzed like the taxation, and then people heard that. So Shahan from The Lost Craft heard that, and we basically spoke about most of that stuff on his podcast. We had Troy from Badlands come over, and we talked about the CPI and like really in-depth stuff, like Nate mentioned, cost of ingredients. And it sort of kept coming up, and we were talking dabbling with you know, little bits of pods last fall, and now we were like, well, this seems to be something that people really want to hear more about. So why not move it from the Adjunct series, which is kind of just our way to do whatever we wanted when we were supposed to do all these themed seasons anyway, but then COVID happened. So then we kind of put a pin to that. So we're like, well, this is one way to do it. Let's put it all in one place. So it's really easy and we can dive super deep into it and people know what to expect. And if you'd prefer to kind of just hear the stories of breweries and, you know, the usual stuff we do, then the Adjunct series is where you can go for that, or any of the historical content. And then moving forward, all the business of beer stuff will be in this series. And one thing I did do the other day was make a playlist on YouTube. So even before this video, the first pod episode is out, I put all of those episodes that Nate mentioned and I just mentioned as well, where we talked about any of this stuff, into a playlist. So, and then these episodes will be sort of added on to that, so that, you know, it's all in one easy place for everybody to find. So, with that long-ass intro, this first episode, we thought we'd do something different. So, you know, obviously on the Adjunct series, and even the ones that we'd had, Nate, that we were talking about, you know, we had, you know, Troy from Badlands, Shahan from Lost Craft, things like that. They're typically owners or brewers or something, but we're like, we need to get the perspective of people in different positions in the industry who have a wealth of knowledge that maybe the owners or brewers wouldn't even know as much about.
Exactly. And the idea with it, like with this one in particular, we're focusing on members of the brewery team who deal a lot with the public day to day. So they've got that very specific customer focused perspective to bring to this conversation, which there's a lot to talk about with things that affect the industry as a whole from that perspective. So we're excited to dig into that.
Absolutely. And with that, let's just get this going, bro. I'm excited. We got some great topics and great stuff to talk about. So, folks, please welcome Jamie from Fine Balance and Caitlyn from Town Brewery in the building. Welcome, you wonderful humans. So nice to see you both.
So nice to see you guys.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us and to kicking off this whole new season. It's super cool. It's very cool that we've got two taproom managers specifically from breweries in, you know, relatively, how far is Whitby to Kingston? 2-3 hours?
No, like an hour and 45.
Oh, it's that close. Maybe I'm thinking Toronto.
If you're going
Yeah,
real fast.
probably more.
If you're going fast, if you're going that.
It's true.
If you're going 150 down there, you just got Waze on, you'll be fine. Okay. No, we don't encourage speeding here at all. But yes, it's so cool. We're very grateful for you both to join us tonight. Particularly, Jamie's taking a break from beer, and Caitlyn, you're pregnant as well. So you will both be drinking some total different stuff. So we've got a whole bunch of fun stuff to drink. We're definitely keeping that part in here because we definitely want to make sure we're promoting the breweries as well as talking about all this fun stuff. So how about first things first? We'll crack the refreshments and then we can get started.
Indeed.
So, all right. So you both are drinking the non-alcoholic Easy Tiger from Town. Love that. Gorgeous can. Nathaniel and I are both rocking the classics, the first beer I ever had from Town, Square Wheels. And the first time, I think for me, out of the new packaging. Very cool.
This is the first time I've got the fresh labels in my hand.
Love it. Amazing. So whilst we're cracking and taking those photos, would you both be able to maybe speak about tell us about the Easy Tiger, because I haven't tried it as yet.
Yeah, for sure. Cheers, everybody.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers.
So it's Town's first non-alcoholic product, is that correct?
Yeah, so came out probably at the most accurate time for me, about when I say 3 months into my pregnancy. Jeff
Perfect.
came to me and said, guess what? We have a non-alc beer. And I said, yes.
I love
Perfect timing.
Yes, perfect timing. So itself, the beer is, exactly what you're looking for in a non-alc. It does not skimp on the flavor, nice and crisp, perfect for the summer, I think, too. It's almost dangerously into your macro kind of lager territory. But, sometimes that's just what you're looking for. So we unfortunately can't brew it on our premise properly. Obviously, there's a lot of techniques that go into making a proper non-alc beer. So we've actually gone ahead and done it off-site, but it turned out really well. Everybody's really digging it. And as we all know, the non-alc industry is taken off. So to have something like this in the fridge to offer guests is really important for us. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. It sounds great. I know we're saying off air, like Jamie messaged me today saying it was her favorite one as well, which is very cool. So I'm super excited to try it. We're both big fans of non-alc, so it's very cool that Town is entering that game, which is beautiful. And Nathaniel and I are drinking this uber fresh. This only canned like less than a week ago. Amazing version of Square Wheels, which was it's iterated over the years. Is this only Idaho 7 or is it? I think it's got
Idaho
Citra as well.
Excuse me. Oh my gosh.
Citra Mosaic Idaho 7. You're right.
Yeah, and like you said, it's kind of developed over the years. But Mike, our head brewer, he really loves diving into that recipe and making the quality better every time. And I mean, it's one of the beers that we brew consistently and constantly, and we run out of it all the time just from LCBOs and licensees and stuff like that. So the overwhelming like of this beer is amazing. It's amazing to watch, and I miss it so much.
Yeah,
hopefully not too far away.
And luckily, when you are able to get back into it, this is one that is pretty regularly on the lineup. So once you are able to, it shouldn't be too long before you're able to have it again.
Oh, I told my husband he had better have one packed in a cooler at the hospital when I'm in work.
There you go.
It's, it's the first beverage after.
That's how soon after can you do it? I think you have to wait a bit for don't you have to wait a little bit for breastfeeding or something like that? Yeah.
Do you?
I think so too. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. My kid's 10, so
I've been doing a lot of research. Yeah, you can. Hops are really great for milk production, so
Oh,
Hopefully,
I believe it.
yeah, hopefully I'll
Science.
just go down that route.
That is so good. I love it. And this is tasting better than ever. I love this beer because one thing we connected on in the beginning was Idaho 7. Probably not now, but back then when this dropped, it was like mine and Nate's favorite hop, and I think Jeff's as well. So it's great to see this like continue to be like ramped up, and this is super smooth, juicy, tropical. It's perfect, and it's great. This beer is like has no business being this good and being that available on LCBOs. Love to see it.
It's wild, and I haven't had it in a little while. And like, yeah, this is tasting fantastic. And like you were saying, this was packaged on May 2nd, and it's May 9th as we record right now.
Oh, so it was a week.
So a week old, and it's tasting great.
I love it. Yeah, this is fantastic. This is great. Thank you both. Okay, so the first question we want to start off with, being that you're both taproom managers, we wanted to let's just cover that immediately. So, what do you think that people think taproom managers do versus what you actually do in a small brewery? Whoever wants to start.
Sure. I think I wrote this in probably.
I like this question. This is a great question.
Don't mind my filler noises of and stuff. I'll try that. So
Don't worry about it.
I thought of this. I think that day someone was talking to me, and Caitlyn and I talked about this briefly. I'm gonna there's like 4 main people like at Fine Balance, like 4 full-time people. So it's and that's including Andrew, right? So it's pretty tiny. So it's like 2 brewers, myself, Andrew, and then I have a couple part-time front of house staff that are there maybe once a week ish. So I just think I had this guy, and he was talking to me for a long time, and it's fine. And I label like 99% of the beer. Like if you're drinking, I probably labeled it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was like, he's talking to me, and he's like, man, like you have like a pretty good gig here, eh? Like it's pretty chill. I'm like, yeah, I guess maybe I look chill talking to you, but I've got like so many things to I'm happy to talk to you. But if we could just move with me so I can speak with you, but I could get this done, like kind of thing. So or someone says to, like, I've had people email into Andrew to ask him about events, but they're people like I am friends with. And then he will just email it back to me. And then I was like, oh, then they're with me. And I'm like, hey. And they're like, oh, so you do that? I'm like, yeah, I also do that. So I think it's like sometimes people just don't think about it because they could see all the stuff you are doing. So if you see someone, I guess, labeling, it's not often you see me on a computer in the tap room because I'm also serving. So a lot of stuff I'll try to do when we're closed or at home or when I get a second when no one's there. But I just think, I don't know. It's like you just work at the tap room. Probably you make the schedule for part-time people and you fill the fridge. Like, I guess that's it. That's all you're doing. Like, and there's just so many more things, even, outside of there where, like, I'm sure it happens to Caitlyn too, way more than me, but you have an event, but you're off for 4 days, but you still have to book the event. Like, or that person could just go to this other venue. So you don't need to be immediately responsive. People can have within reason, but it's, you are constantly in a thought process of, oh, I should get back to this person because if they're looking for other things, like they could do something else, but why not just do a quick response so they know, like, they could have this space, it's free, and it doesn't take me a very long time to answer them back, Gotcha. But thinking like, oh, you're off, that's great. It's like, okay, well, it's rare that I'm not going to hear about something on the day I'm off, but that's okay. I don't mind it, but it is great. Anyways, I think it happened that day where someone was saying that and I was like, oh my God, I have so many things to do.
I love that. Caitlyn, what's the taproom vibes?
Yeah. Taproom at town is rockin'. My job specifically has changed a lot. I've been with town for almost 5 years now and started off as, a server in the tap room. I think my interview was like, with the tap room manager at the time. I was a regular there, and we actually went out drinking the night before, and my interview consisted of one question, and it was, how did I get home last night? And I said Uber, and he goes, you're hired. Which was kind of funny. it's funny to be where I am now. Jamie and I connected probably a couple years ago through our jobs, and Jamie's title was very different at the time, but she essentially was doing all the duties that a taproom manager was or does do. Like she said, touched on events and scheduling and all that. And yeah, I mean, people definitely see different side of you when you're on the floor than what you're actually doing behind the scenes. Like I said, my job's changed so much over the years. Like Jamie, I used to serve and run all the events and do scheduling and ordering, and we actually started like a small food program a couple years ago, so I was in charge of that. And yeah, eventually my staff of like 4 friends that I managed now consists of 20 employees. Wow. Including our tap room and our pump house. So managing that is a job of its own. And I'm actually, after coming back from mat leave, I'm moving into a human resources position at town because we need it now. We have so many employees, and it's amazing that our business is growing so much that I'm able to kind of step out of that hospitality leadership role into more of like an administrative business side, and managing our people rather than our guests. So yeah, it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, that's for sure. People that don't really see all the health and safety stuff, and the events are, like Jamie said, are a huge one. Even if you're not there, you're still managing it, and it's amazing to see all your hard work kind of become this like one little bubble inside the tap room, and as your business is growing, you're growing with it, and you're learning, and yeah, it's really special.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Congrats on the promotion too. Go on.
Yeah, congrats. So yeah, so certainly more more hats to wear than most people coming through the door might think. Yeah, it's it's interesting because in a say in a larger business, say in a restaurant or even a larger brewery, like job roles might be a little more kind of tailored and a little more specific, but in a small brewery, in a small space like this where all of those things still need to be done, but the staff is usually a lot smaller, it's very often ends up being the thing that people, especially in management positions, definitely have more hats to wear than if someone sees tap manager on the name tag and sees you at front of house, might think that you're just doing front of house, but your role is so much bigger than that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that before me was Jeff, and as he gets busier, he needs to pass those things down. And, same with Andrew from Fine Balance. As your business grows, you need to find really trustworthy people to pass those responsibilities down to. So, and like any small business really, but yeah, especially in a brewery, there's a lot of different hats.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, smaller companies definitely require that a lot, but I imagine that's part of the charm for you both, as far as like, if you were just doing the one thing all day long, it'd kind of be a little repetitive and boring, but I guess it keeps you guys busy and moving around and, learning different things, I imagine too, that you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jamie, what did you do before taproom manager, like before you worked at Fine Balance?
Yeah, so I worked at another brewery. That's how I met Andrew. I was, don't know if it's that interesting a story, but I met him during the pandemic. He came into this other brewery I was working outside of Kingston in the winter and was just telling me about a brewery he was opening. He has 2, the kids were really small then. The 2 oldest now, that the other one wasn't born. And he was telling me about it, and it was just opening. I actually didn't live in the town that this brewery was in. It's like 20 minutes outside of, it's in Gananoque. It's closed now. So, but that's easier than me saying that's being not open. So, it was Gan Brewery and it's not there anymore. So he was there and it was winter. and he was talking about trying to get this brewery open. Da, 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 da. I was like, oh, I live on Highway 15. Like, I'll have to check it out, which is like the street. I live on the street, basically the brewery's on, sort of like with
Gotcha.
it. So then I guess the summer came around, and I guess it must have been the pandemic, and I could only serve on the patio. I guess that makes sense because Fine Balance opened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I went out, and he had cycled, and I remember they asked for water, and I like, this had been quite a few months difference from when I had ever seen him or spoke to him again. And I remember just being like, oh, hey, did you ever end up opening that brewery? And he was like, oh, not yet, like still working on it, da da da, but we hadn't like spoken or. So I remember him leaving. He like came in. He was like, I know this is your main job, but like I'd love to have you at my spot too sometimes, and I know it's close to your house. So if you ever want to pick up stuff, like here's my card. And so that's kind of how I ended up moving to this job. But I worked there maybe at GAN for a year and a half, and actually before that I didn't serve. Like I'm not from a serving background.
Wow.
I managed a Good Life for 10 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is very actually similar to serving. It's like same, it's actually pretty chill. Same kind of problems, maybe, you know. Yeah, I've been pretty lucky to transfer into those types of things, but I'm more from just a customer service background overall, not serving.
Does the customer service background, do you think that's an important skill set for taproom management?
Oh yeah.
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 Like, are you dealing with, like, are you both the ones who are, you know, say if I've been a server too and a bartender, and I sucked. So I have a lot of, I was talking to my barber about it today, actually. Like, I have so much respect for all of that, the hospitality stuff, because it's, I feel like if you haven't done it, you can't really understand what it goes into and how much sometimes, like, everyone just, I don't know, the places I worked at, everyone's yelling at everyone, and like it's always this crazy rush, and it's this like kinesthetic intelligence that you have to just know where things are, and your body just moves, and you're like, Jeff, you want a little refill? Shit, like, you know, it's like I could never do that, so I had a lot of respect for it, but I did a lot of customer service, and I felt that didn't help me too much. So like, but that was probably more with strictly serving as opposed to maybe what you're both doing, which is like the managing of staff. And I imagine that if there's a problem, then you're the one, like, if staff has a problem or the guest has an issue, that you're the one to come and fix it. Is that the general vibe?
Yeah, like at town, we actually, because our staff is a little bit bigger and I can't be there all the time, we've actually developed like a key holder kind of leadership role, where we've given some, you know, roles and responsibility and accountability to some of our senior staff who deal with those problems when we're not there. But, you know, I truly believe that, you know, like you said, kind of, if you've never done serving or been in the hospitality industry, you don't really get it. And I think everybody should do it once in their life to really understand what, yeah, you know, it teaches you so much about people first and foremost, but, you know, just about how to be a nice person to people. Like, I always tell people in like our orientations, I'm like, the world is crappy enough. The least you could do is just like show someone a good time and be nice. But yeah, we hire a lot of people that don't have any serving experience. Customer service is definitely a bonus if they have it on their resume, but you can teach someone to be a good server. You can't teach them to be a good person. So
yeah,
that's such a good...
It's like you can teach serving, you're pouring serving, but you can't teach them to be like nice and care. Yeah. Like you can't teach caring and it have to care. Yeah. So
yeah, I think that like having experience working in customer service certainly teaches you how to be a better customer.
God, well said.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like I did outbound telemarketing for years. So I'm calling people at between 5 and 9 p.m. Like while I was in university. I got crazy money for it at the time. So imagine like I only work 3 shifts a week, but people yell at you and stuff. So you're doing that. I did a lot of telemarketing and then that, and I felt like I always had more respect for people. As much I never like yell at anyone on the phone ever, even if I'm annoyed that I'm not getting what I need out of them. I'm super respectful with. No, I don't think I would be a dick either way, but I just feel like there's a level of empathy that you get from working in any sort of service. So when you are dealing with people with service, you're a little more patient and a little more, because you know that like if you're just that dick customer that's just gonna like ruin someone's night, like when they're probably already having enough things thrown at them, it's like, oh man, it's the least you can do. And I feel like what's the thing, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Yeah.
So it's always better to be nice to people, and you find out you end up getting what you want. You just be cool, and it's good to hear that it sounds like so both of you had that, and that's helped you in that role to be able to sort of I guess sort of really manage the moving pieces, because it's so much more than just the service. There's like, I guess like it is HR to a degree, like Caitlyn, what you're about to go do. Like you're both dealing with staff as well, and you're dealing with all the other million of responsibilities that you've got to kind of like make sure is done. And sometimes I bet it's probably like, look, I'll just take care of it because I don't have to explain it to somebody and then they might fuck it up. And then it's just like, you know what, you just do it type thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So
yeah, we truly believe here.
No,
sorry,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I cut you off. Please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that absolutely. It's just like both ways. Like, you're kind of, like you said, HR already. So you're dealing with the public, but you're also dealing with your staff as well. And they're definitely two different kind of people that you got to deal with. So
I think too, if you look at the customer service side from a brewery or even like a coffee shop or a gym, these are people you see regularly. So it isn't like you're working, I'm not saying you don't at a Max Milk or something, obviously the same thing, or I don't even know what that's called anymore. It's not called Max Milk. I don't know what they're called, right? So, but a corner shop. So you see the same people, but let's say like, the people that come in and you don't know them that much, you're not going to talk to them so much. Maybe you know what kind of cigarette they buy. I don't know. I've never worked at one of these, but this kind of thing. Yeah. But when you're working at a brewery or I find like a gym or something, you know their names, you know their kids, like they will talk to you because you are there. If they're getting a divorce, if someone died. So you're not just talking to them like, oh, you're getting this beer and knowing you're leaving. Oh, you like it. You're gone. Oh, your wife just left you and we're talking for an hour. Like you are, I don't know, especially now that I'm not drinking right now. And some of them know I call myself like the Sam Malone of bar because he didn't drink and cheers. So, but yeah, it's kind of so different, if someone recently had their kid die, and they're telling you and they see you all the time and it's so sad and you're sad because these people and it's just like a different kind of customer service because you're so close to them. Because even if you've never been to their house or anything, you see them all the time. You know when they're going on trips, they know when you're not there and they're going to make sure when you got back that they noticed you weren't there. Anyways, I just think it's like a different kind of customer service. People put a lot on you and because they trust you. And if they didn't put that on you, I don't know. I think it's really like they feel so comfortable with you. And it's good that we're in a position to make people feel comfortable we might be the only person they can tell something to that day. And they don't feel comfortable with anyone else. And that's like a lot. But I think it's just a different customer service than you get most places.
That's quite a lot to take on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is. And that's why I say like working in a tap room or our industry like this is hard. But it also has so many perks on the flip side of that. Not only can people like less times are they offloading problems on you, but they're just like really happy, or you might be the best part of their day because not you specifically, but they get to have a beer and you just happen to be there and you're not an asshole. So, so it's, I just think, sometimes like a lot of times, like in a week I will leave work and be like, God, I'm just so lucky that these people like want to come here and they want to see me or they talk to each other, and I'm just watch it. And I'm sure Caitlyn's the same. Like, town's a lot busier, and she's not like doing taproom all the time now, but I'm sure before, like, you have those same people that are just like so happy to see you, and you're just like, man, these people I don't know that well are just so happy to see me. Like, it's kind of nice, sort of creepy, depending on the person.
I feel bad now because I feel bad because regulars come in now and they see me in like passing and they're like trying to get my attention, but I'm like so busy that day, like doing a million other things that like, whereas before, you know, I would be able to sit down with them and chat with them. And, you know, so it's sad because I don't think they see how my roles change. And, you know, you want to still be the best part of their day, but now they think you hate them because you can't chat with them for like 20 minutes because you're way too busy. So definitely had to navigate those waters now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like those situations show that you're like that in your capacity as taproom manager, like, you know, you're still making really genuine connections with people. Yeah. Like that's what brings that on, like that level of connection like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool,
yeah, for sure,
hearing this from both of you, because one thing that like in what we found, like in Montreal and here in Hamilton now, most of the places we go, we know the people and we do it, and it does. And I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to go to my favorite cafes. I know all of the baristas or the owners most, because usually owner operator, they're all small third wave cafes, so I know them all. Talk about different stuff every time. I'm like, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like I really enjoy it. So I'm excited for the coffee too, but I like having that little chat and stuff. And I hope I'm giving them value with something that I'm saying. And like the butcher, you know, everywhere we go, the fish place, like all the places we go to buy stuff, there's like a bit of a joy. I don't know if joy is the right word, but we just really love it. I'm like, we're contributing right here. This is a small business. This is a hardworking small business. And even if it's not like the owner, that's the staff that just get to know you. And then they go, hey, I put like, we made the fish guy, we moved places because that place closed down. But he used to we used to come every Saturday to get, and if we came in a little bit late, he'd sort of stash it aside for us, and Tiff would rock up and he'd be like, hey, I got it aside, you want the tuna? I'm like, yeah, sweet. Like small things like that. And I bet you both do those small things for those people. Like if you know that, like, you know, my cafe around here that you left it at, Jamie, the Durand, there's an anniversary coming up this weekend for a brewery, and I messaged him today, hey man, can you chuck them aside for me? And he's like, yep, sweet. And he put them aside for Nate and I. Like things like that, it goes so far. Like I only spend my money most of it at smaller places where I know the people that are on our side, the consumer side of people like yourselves, that just brighten days and make things just nice and pleasurable. And like Town and Fine Balance are both amazing community focused breweries that are hiring people in the community and really genuinely care. It's like, it's cool. It's, I guess, all I'm really long-winded way of saying, I think it's really cool hearing that perspective from your side, because I hadn't really thought about that too much. I'd always really thought about from my side how much we enjoy doing it, and it's even cooler now to hear that there's some, like, you know, maybe not the heavy stuff, Jamie, that you're talking about, but, you know, the rest of it seems pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's the point you brought up too, you know, you're supporting a small business, and at the end of the day, you know, we all work really hard for the money we make. And I think, you know, consumers want their money to go far, not only with the product, but the experience as well. And, you know, without, you know, that experience that they're getting in a positive way, they might not come back. They might not feel, even though Square Wheels might be delicious and it's really great IPA, and they can get it at the LCBO, they choose to come to the brewery because, you know, they love seeing Adrian, who works, you know, full-time in our tap room and is one of the most passionate craft beer people I've ever met.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's more
alumni.
Consumers are looking for more.
Yeah, you're right. They want that experience. So that's kind of exactly my experience, that they want people go there. They could go to the LCBO, but then why not just go to town? Then you can get it. You can. I mean, obviously, there's a range of beers in the LCBO from town, but then you can get more there. You can have something fresh. You can have a bit of a chat. Like, it's the experience of that tap room. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that. That's great. So, did we want to get into the next product here? I don't want to call it a product. Oh, because I guess y'all
then,
actually have something totally different.
That's probably a good segue into our into our next topic.
Yes. I got a bunch of stuff I'm excited to talk about. So, how about you tell us now? We're moving on to some Fine Balance products. Spicy water from your side, which is, first of all, at first I didn't get it, and then I think I heard it like on like dog memes or something, like feeding dogs carbonated water was like a fun thing to do. And I was like, oh, they call it spicy water. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I love it. So cool. Tell us about
that. Do you want me to tell you about the spicy?
Yeah, please.
Well, it's actually because Andrew's kids, call it like spicy, like children call it things that have different...
they call it spicy if it's like fizzy or something.
Yeah, it just like has a different flavor, right? Like kids are like spicy, and
that's cute.
My daughter, when she was little, like I gave her like a jam sandwich, and she was like, "This is spicy," and I was like, "It's raspberry jam. It's not spicy." Like, it's spicy, and then I took a bite, and I was like, "Why is this spicy?" And I looked, and I didn't realize it was jalapeno raspberry jam.
Oh no!
I was like, so
no!
What a weird combo.
It's raspberry. So Caitlyn, don't do that. Check your jam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
So
my
that's
god!
why
Like you're thinking it's a thing that you're like your daughter's just like coming up with something quirky way to describe this, and I'm like, nope, this is actually spicy.
I was like, is this what happened to raspberry jam? When it goes bad, it turns spicy? And then like looked, and I was like, oh, the rockin' part of the jam is spice. It's jalapeno. So anyways, this is our like spicy water. Currently right now, I probably drink too much of it. So
no such thing.
It's healthy. Yeah. So it's Sabro hopped. This one we're drinking is raspberry. We have peach, just a regular one, which is probably one that we'll finish with. I don't know. And we have like lime and orange. So it was kind of something we started, I don't know, maybe a year ago, I guess. And we've just kind of kept perfecting it. They've done a really good job, the brewers, on it. It's a quick, easy thing to make. It's really popular in the tap room. People love it. Just for non-alcoholic beverages, it's a great alternative. Sometimes if we have a free draft line, we'll put it on draft. So I'm a really big fan of it. Our run club is a huge fan of it. So yeah.
That's great. Awesome. I haven't had the raspberry one yet, but I had the
it's super tasty.
It sounds amazing. Yeah, the OG was fire, like the talk out. So I was really excited to try the variants, which is cool. Super fun. Hop, and it's essentially hop water.
Am I right?
It is hop water.
Am I right that they're all Sabro hopped?
Yes.
Right.
So it's Sabro plus either just Sabro for the OG, and then the other ones have some like peach and raspberry and stuff like that. Sick. Here for it.
And I would say these are the two most popular flavors. I'm assuming that's back with them. We did have like all four at once, but these, I don't know if it's just, they also are my two favorites, but they did, I feel, move the fastest.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Test a bunch and double down on the ones that people like. Yeah, I love that. I love that breweries are both introducing non-alcoholics beers and things like that, like hop water. I'd bathe in it. It's the greatest thing ever. I love it so much, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like every brewery who like it's like a cool addition to just like when I'm having my drink. I don't know about anyone here, but like I always have like beer, a glass of sparkling water, beer spark. Like I do that if I'm for my sessions. I just find that like I'm going to the bathroom every 25 minutes, but it's great. It just like keeps you sort of like going. I know I'm pretty old these days, so I'm like I feel like it just balances everything out finally. Yeah. And it's just it's like a nice way to kind of do it. And sometimes I'll just use like Soda Stream, but I would prefer to have like, you get a case of the spicy water and then just crush one of those in between each thing, because the shorties are like perfect. It's exactly exactly what you need,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. And it's perfect right now for pregnancy, or if you're taking a break from beer too.
Yeah.
And just on your non-beer nights. Like the hop waters, or a city seltzer on my non-beer nights is like money.
God tier. You cannot go wrong. And Nathaniel and I've been looking forward to this one. I love a good APA. So Trailhead, American Pale Ale, 5.6. Not too sure on the hops on this one. I guess Untapped will tell us. Do you happen to know, Jamie, what the
Oh, I do know the hops. Yes.
Oh, let's go. Talk to us.
Mosaic, Citra, Amarillo.
Mosaic, Citra, Amarillo. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. And it's sort of like, love it. Look at the clarity.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, look at it. Oh, that is stunning. Look at cascading.
Oh, wow.
Go.
Well, that is gorgeous.
So jealous.
It won't be long, Caitlyn. It won't be long.
I know I sound like maybe like a mild alcoholic like through this, but craft beer is my life, and I just miss it so much. So,
I don't think anyone listening to this is gonna judge you for missing craft beer right now.
No. How long have you got until you can actually drink?
Good.
Do you think?
I'm due July 22nd, actually.
Okay, so that's 2 months and a bit. 2 and a bit. That's fine. That's doable.
Yeah.
You'll make
it. We're almost there. Yeah.
Almost there. Okay. And this is beautiful. And did I take a photo? I did. Okay. Great clarity. Love a good. Nate and I are huge fans of West Coast and like American style IPAs or pale ales. I think pale ales are incredibly underrated. So
yeah.
Oh my god, it smells great. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Beautiful. That's freaking delicious.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Got a great like sweetness to it.
Yeah.
That I didn't expect.
This even even drinks as drinks with the body of like an American IPA.
Agreed.
It's 5.6, but like this could very easily be like 6.5, 7% with with the kind of with the body that it's got, and it's got like the kind of candied grapefruit thing going on, like of an American or West Coast IPA. This is spectacular.
It really is. What were the hops again? Was it Mosaic, Citra, Amarillo, Jamie?
Yeah.
Perfect. Good memory. Yeah, this is fantastic. And this is pretty fresh. This hasn't been out too long, right? Like a couple weeks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something like that. Still available. Love it. Yeah, this is great.
So we actually made did you guys have Wheelhouse? The one we did with Matron?
Yes, we did.
We did?
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
So this was inspired based off the reception we had from that.
Okay.
Yes. So that was actually pretty popular in our tap room, and we liked it. We wanted to like revisit that again, so we made this as well, and it's lower ABV, it's malty or a little bitter, but it's something you can drink while like going for a walk in the trail, and it's like an active beer like that you could have.
This is so good.
That's great.
I am such a huge fan of this one, and I remember we had that. I think we did like a split order.
Yeah,
recently.
Yeah,
got it. Yeah.
That's one of the ones I sent you, and I really like that one. I think that one was is the best West Coast that you guys have made. In my opinion, and I can see the inspiration from this one. This is awesome.
And you know what? It makes me happy to hear that the West Coast, or whatever, this kind of style was received so well that you decided to do another one, because it's like a style that, like I was saying before, like Nate and I are super really into this, and I feel like it's like, everything's, I fucking love haze. Haze is what I drink all the time, but I feel like this is something that is like it's like nice to break up the haze with, you switch it up a little bit, and I just find it amazing. And it's very cool to hear that it went down so well that that essentially you decided to do something else. That makes me happy, and
So popular.
love that.
Yeah, love that.
I love it. So back to it.
Yes.
Do you have? I had one question. Do you have something you want to specifically go into from our?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I kind of wanted to come
go.
to something that kind of what was maybe the inception point for for this whole idea, when like the last time that we had Andrew on the pod, and like this actually came to something that you and I were talking about, Jamie, when we were DMing after that episode came out. Because one of the things that we talked about then was pricing of retail beer, whether pricing of like packaged stuff to go, and prices on draft and stuff like that. And you two being the tap room managers, seeing seeing the customers and kind of getting the firsthand reactions when people are looking at what's available on draft and what they might be getting to go and whatnot. You'd have kind of really the firsthand experience to the reactions that people have to pricing. And that's something that comes up a lot in craft beer. I feel like that's something that goes through waves on social media, when like if someone is like making a comment about how much stuff is costing, if it's a tall boy or if it's in short cans or whatever. So can you talk to us about kind of what your experience has been like with pricing of beer, whether like whatever comes to mind first for you, whether it's packaged, whether it's on draft, if there's anything that's changed that you've noticed in how customers are reacting to it, like what comes to mind when we talk about beer pricing?
Yeah, at town, it's definitely a conversation that Jeff has with the management team all the time. Specifically in our bottle shop, more so because we want people to come to the brewery. We want them to ideally sit down, have a pint, have a flight, and then grab some to-go beer. But at the end of the day, we want to definitely like price. I don't want to say competitively, but make sure it makes sense for us to get some money made. With that, this year, I think more so like a couple months ago, we actually started pricing our bottle shop beers as like single cans, 4-packs, which you get a little bit of a deal on, and then cases, which you get a little bit more of a deal on. And we've noticed, people kind of going for the 4-pack more so than going for the can, because they get a little bit of a deal. And, with so many of our beers being in the LCBO, we can't really offer a discount because they have to be the same price. So being able to do that with like our one-off beers makes sense for us, and hopefully allows the consumer to see a little bit more value in it. But with the tap room, like draft beers, I'm sure every brewery owner, if they have a tap room, can agree that's where you make your money. So definitely being able to price it at a price point that makes sense, but also, looks good on paper, and the value is there, is really important. So we've definitely had conversations about like pricing different beers differently on tap. So, pricing square wheels a little bit differently than say like a sour that has more ingredients and costs a little bit more to make. But we just, also are like, well, does it make sense for us? Would the consumer be okay with that? And so yeah, it's definitely a conversation that we have all the time. But yeah, the price is definitely very important, because hey, how else are you going to make your money? So
Yeah. Do you ever sense any hesitancy from from the customer, or like when you're asking that question, is the customer going to be okay with it? Like, do you get a sense that that the customer is okay with it, or do you ever sense any patterns of hesitancy or or kind of sticker shock or anything like that?
yeah, Jamie, I don't know about you, but definitely for maybe some of our beers, like with the double IPAs and the sours, You know, if people haven't been to our brewery before and aren't really used to those prices, they do kind of get a little bit, like you said, sticker shock. Um, but you know, we offer tastings all the time if they want to try it out, and hopefully that entices them to pay that price and know that the quality is there. And it's just like anything. I mean, we just kind of started a new food menu too, and some of our food products we're getting locally, and you know those cost a little bit more money. And we were worried that if we upped our menu prices, that you know consumers would see those prices and be like, is it worth it? But you know, when you're putting out a really great product, you're hoping that people trust in your product and trust that the quality is good, and hopefully they're willing to, you know, pay that price not once but come back and pay it again.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, we're very similar. It doesn't come up. I wouldn't say. I'm assuming like we have less volume and people coming in, but I wouldn't say it happens very often. So when it does, it's a bit like if someone is getting like a bulk beer and they're like, "Oh my god, this is this much. I could go here and get this," and it's like, okay, and no, um, yeah, and they like can be like the same type of people too. So they're like the odd time it happens, it's the same style of like not that nice people who think like you like purposely made it this price to screw them over or something, you know? And I'm just like, okay, like this is why. And the best you can do is either if they care to like what and ask why, you can educate them on like the cost of where we're getting the hops from, and you know, so they understand. But if they're going to compare you to a place, let's say that could grow hops or do something differently, then that's like, you know, if they don't want to listen, they just want to be mad, that's okay. So there's nothing I can do about it. Unfortunately, oh my God, the vast majority don't care. You know, you can raise something a couple cents, they don't really notice. You raise the drafts a little bit, like maybe they notice, but it's never so much. And I think they understand the reason behind it. But I think this leads back to like what we were previously talking about, is if they didn't care about the business or care about you or like you as your job and like enjoy coming in, then you would have a problem, because then it'd be like, oh my God, the draft is, it's not, but let's say $2 more. Well, I don't want to go in here anymore. I'm just going to go to this chain restaurant where no one's going to care about me, because like it's just not you know, you have to add value behind that price, and not only with the quality of beer but the quality of like the experience you get at a coffee shop. You know, if you're going to go pay $5 for like a normal black, I don't know, Americano, but you get treated like trash, you're obviously not going to go there. Anyways, I do think it doesn't happen so often, and I think more people are enjoying craft beer and seeing the benefits. And you know, you hear people sometimes say like they don't feel as bad because there's no preservatives in it, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think just people can accept more that they're just getting a quality product and better service, you know. So
Yeah.
I hope we're giving better service than like a beer store. I don't know, maybe they're pretty nice.
Yes. Well,
Not always.
having been a patron like at both of your breweries and at the beer store, I can certainly attest that that's true. Like it's good to hear that like that's a rare minority that ends up complaining about that. Like you say, I think it's a thing that most patrons of breweries like Fine Balance or Town or any other small brewery in Ontario, I think, at least has some like, even if we're not getting into the nitty gritty of ingredient prices and and things like that, they know they're buying they know they're buying at the very least a product from a small business that you know, that like the money that's going towards that pint or that 4-pack is you know, paying the salaries of employees at that brewery, like literally within these four walls, and and is going towards, like you say, a quality product. So it's good to hear that from your guys' experience, that it doesn't seem to be much of a much of a sore point with your customers.
Mhm.
If what I'm summarizing is accurate.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. I sometimes think in reverse, I'll sometimes get like sticker shock, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Someone came in and like they were getting like a speciation 224, and I was like, oh god, and like
Oh.
like all right, I saw it and I was like getting ready for it, but like he's like okay, and I was like okay, so you're good. He's like yeah, great, and I'm like oh, we're good here, okay, but like
Right.
you know. I was more like, all right, I'm ready for one of these. Let's okay, like I'll but he was I just didn't care, and I was like, oh good, okay.
I love hearing
And
that.
if I'm remembering right, speciation was that big third moon pastry stout, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
So I
that
was
collab.
ready
So
to.
that would have been an expensive one.
Yes, of course it is. But like, I was like, oh god,
Yeah,
like,
really.
yeah,
That's amazing. It was funny, excuse me, talking about all of this because the pod with Jeff last year, he was the one who kind of planted the seed for us with pricing because like I'm not sure about like YouTube, but I know Nate and I really don't give that much of a fuck how much it is within reason. Because if I go to Find Balance or Town, I'm like, I know what I'm getting, and I'm like, cool, that's what it is. I didn't even look. I'm like, sure, just like tap the card, don't care, whatever. Like, I'm not going in there and spending money that I don't have. Like, I understand what I'm getting myself into, right? So, what Jeff pointed out that coming back to all of this, and this is what I'm curious about, is that he was saying that I believe the sort of the interesting figure was $4, and he was like, if you had say outside jokes, it was like $3.95 or something, and then as soon as you put square wheels at $4.25, I don't know if that's correct, but something like that, he was like the sales numbers just went. The one under $4 was going crazy, and as soon as you go over $4, it's just like the shit's dropping or it's just not moving. My guess would be, based on what you're both saying, that the patrons that come into a tap room absolutely know what they're getting themselves into, such as buying a case of pastry stout, which is also insane, by the way. Like that is they must be getting it for a group of people. Otherwise, that's a lot of calories.
That's a lot of calories.
It's a ton of calories. Fantastic. The best calories, but calories nonetheless. I was just really curious if and I'm sort of asking this knowing that you might not know the answer, but you know, being that there is a bit more of a picky LCBO consumer, like is there a difference? And it kind of sounds like from the anecdotes you've given there is, but just want to see if there was anything else here. Like the folks that come in, are they a little more open, or is it a bit of a mix, or is it, you know what I mean? If they're I would guess that if they're an experienced craft beer drinker, they would be going into a brewery just knowing what it is, whereas maybe a noob who just is doing something different go with a group of friends who was just dragged along, like, oh, let's see what's going on. Oh, this was really good. I want to take some home. Like, that's how much it is. Like, what's the kind of is there any sort of differentiation in either of your minds as far as like an LCBO consumer versus the people that actually come in or maybe discovered town at least through the LCBO and then came in? Like, are you guys familiar with that at all?
A little bit, but the days that you see that most are the holidays when the LCBO is closed. Actually,
Of
um,
course.
we we get a lot of people. Yeah, we get a lot of people in. Obviously looking for beer, and they come in. My favorite is like they'll come in and be like, "Do you guys have Heineken here?" And we're like, "No, we brew our own beer." Like, but let me show you what you can drink that's close to Heineken. And then yes, they see the price and they're like, "Oh, that's what I'm paying." But the people who are buying like spare wheels, outside jokes, quick one at the LCBO compared to the brewery, let's say, they very rarely will buy like the one-offs. If they do, it's like one or two cans. And yeah, I don't really see a difference between it. But yeah, like I said, definitely on those holiday Mondays when people are looking for alcohol and the only thing they could buy is craft beer, it's like they're not ready for buying a 2-4 of that. That's for sure.
Amazing. That makes complete sense. I guess I know the fine balance currently isn't in the LCBO, Jamie, so I don't know if it's a fair comparison at all. But is there any sort of other like price, conscious maybe is the word, or sensitivities that you've seen?
You get the odd person who will be like, how much is that can? And you're like, oh, okay, roughly. And how much is that can? I was like, okay, maybe I'll just like three times until I'm like, they're about this price to this price in the fridge. So then they really just want to know like the range of what they would be, not specifically, and if you can get down to like how many beers were you looking to have and how much were you looking to spend, and if they're like, oh, I wanted six and I have $25, okay, well, let's move to like the Pilsners or, this hazy, like you have to just kind of know where they're coming from because we don't have prices that they can see anyways. I don't really, sometimes I'll find if like someone has sent their parent in to buy beer, like an older man, like will be like, oh, like they just sent me in to get here. This is how much this 6-pack costs. Like, oh my God. And they're like, blown away. It's just not something, and and you're just like, well, I assume if your son sent you here, they knew this, kind of thing. So, sorry. But I don't have it that often, but those are kind of the things that I would say happen where you have to kind of manage that. But it's otherwise, yeah, it doesn't come up I don't think pricing it, because I think most of the people coming into craft breweries are kind of like you guys, where you just, or us, sure, and Caitlyn and I going into another craft brewery where you're like, I want this can, I'll just get this can. And you don't know how much the can was on your bill anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We just want the product.
We just want it.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. It's we haven't spoken about that as much on the pod, which is why I was really wanting to get into that. So that's really great insights. Like a lot of the stuff that we'd spoken about had been around the LCBO concerns for as far as pricing. Even like Shahan on Lost Craft was talking about the difference in the pilsners, and he knew all the rates because he's got stuff in there, so he knew all the competitors and all the prices. We were looking them up live on the pod, and I just found it fascinating because I didn't give a shit about prices I still don't. I mean, unless you're buying like a barrel aged stout and it comes to like $40, you're like, what's going on here? But maybe when you're in the States, but like, you know what I mean? Like otherwise it's not, it's just like, it's a different type of consumer that I haven't been for so long that I forgot that it's a thing. So I'm extra fascinated just from the perspective of it all and to see what it's like in the tap room. So that's somewhat what I expected. So it's really interesting to hear, and I think that's really it's really cool. The other thing I want to sort of like jump into was as far as like talking about the consumers and the pricing, the habits that they have in the tap room. Are you seeing any patterns? Is there a type that gets flights? Are flights not popular anymore? Are people trying mostly doing full pours, half pours? Is there sort of anything that you're seeing? Are you seeing, I don't know, just any sort of pattern? I'm just thinking even my own behavior. I'd come in, give me the crispy sweet. I remember when I went to Fine Balance, Andrew gave me a bunch of stuff. I'm like, whatever one, give me the one on the Luca pour, because I love that shit. It's the best thing ever. So I was like, sweet. And then I just went to it's the greatest, and things like that. So then you work your way through and you sort of try, like, if there are any sort of like patterns that you guys have seen, as far as we've talked about like the buying habits of the cans, but maybe on the draft side, is there any sort of things that you're sort of noticing as far as maybe whether it's trends, maybe there's a certain style that's outselling others, or the opposite, there's completely no one gives a shit about type of thing?
Yeah, I know Jamie and I had this conversation earlier about flights as a server, and you're slammed on a Saturday and you have a group of, 6 people walk in and they say, we're going to all do flights. And you're like, oh God. But at the end of the day, like, that's that's what you want, right? Like you want people to come and experience the beer and figure out what they like, especially if they've never been there before. Our spiel when people walk in, hey, have you been to Town Brewery before? No. Square Wheels is our flagship New England style IPA. It's hazy, it's juicy. We suggest getting a flight if you've never drank any of our beers, trying to figure out what you like. And most people go for that. Most people see absolutely the value in getting it. You get 4 little 5 ounces of whatever you want on draft. And then, more times than not, they're getting a full size pint of something that they enjoyed in that flight afterwards. So definitely a lot of flights at town for sure, especially when we have, upwards of, 8 beers on draft. And yeah, it's awesome to see everybody like kind of talk about it. You can like talk with them about it and educate them and see what they like. But yeah, it's definitely a trend for sure. I don't think it's going away. That's for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, we don't have flights, so we have like the sample size pours. So we don't have flight boards, but people will get like all of them sometimes. I usually do try to kind of do the thing where I'm like, okay, well, what do you normally drink? Because if you're, especially for us, probably the same maybe, but if someone says, well, I generally don't like any IPAs. I hate all IPAs and I want to try them. I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to get a sample size of everything here, that's like 60% of the draft or 50, you know what I mean? So let's narrow it down. Or they might be like, well, I really only like sours and I don't really like, okay, well then I would suggest, do you want to taste this? I'm a really big fan and we don't have it. Like kind of what they do in Vermont where they have like the 8-ounce pours. Mm-hmm. And that is my favorite style of pour. I love going to Burlington and just getting like 8 ounces places because I feel like I get a more, I can taste more of something. Yeah. And then I find I don't drink flights, but I was with someone and we got one at Burlington Beer Company and I was like, oh, okay, we'll share this, whatever. But I was like, okay, well, they're all tasting the same now. I can't get a full read on. Then when I go to buy cans or get something, I'm like, did I like this one or this one? Because they ended up, and I find sometimes in the feedback in a flight, depending on a person's palate, they're like, this IPA tastes, there is like, they say like, drink it from here to here, but people drink it all over the place. And sometimes I'll find it like devalues the beer that they could have tasted because it's like, man, I like this IPA, but it has like a blueberry taste. And I'm like, well, the sour you had in that the tasters was blueberry, and they're like, oh yeah, and so I'm like, but this beer isn't. It is amazing, but it had, maybe we should have crackers, I guess. But it doesn't come up very often. I find for me, and maybe this happens at town too, but you could have a whole day of no samples and then all of the samples, and I think that's because someone comes in, sees it at another table, and that puts it in their head. I think it's just like a thing in their head, but yeah, we don't have them. I do think there's a value for having them. I think sometimes we have events and we'll do like taster flights, even though we don't have a board or anything, but flights for those, like a sour one, and it'll be all sours. So nothing's really killing your palate because it's all sours anyways, right? So it's just a different fruit. So I don't know. I don't think flights are going anywhere because as a place that doesn't have them, I have more of the talk was like, we don't have them. You can get as many as you want. You also can taste things you like and get a pint, whichever you want. But I do think, yeah, they'll probably stay popular. It's I do also on the flip side do think more people are becoming like what you were saying, Craig, and just going in and ordering the pint. They're like, I want a Pilsner. I'm easy. I want a Pilsner, and I feel like pouring 4,000 flights in my life, working in game. I am also like, I just take whatever this in a glass.
Yeah, it's too much. I feel you. It's too much. Yeah. It's like too much work to work through the flight. And then once I saw a video the other day, funnily enough, on that from a brewery, somewhere in the States, and they were saying it was like it's like there's like a gap. What was it? It was something about like there's a gap in between the tap or something that's in all the taps, and the way that you pour a flight, there's not enough. It's like it's inefficient or like it does something. It's not like the real experience of the products. So this brewery that's escaping me right now was saying that they don't do it, and I feel like I would say it's like 50-50, like breweries do or don't. And it's like I used to all the time pre-COVID, and I noticed the volume of my little selfie beer reviews. Like my numbers aren't going up as fast because what I used to do was go to a brewery and get a flight, and then I just got annoyed because I'm like writing the reviews. I'm like, I gotta do like 8 of these, but fuck that. It became too much, and I would rather kind of do what you said before, Jamie. I'd like go to a place, give me a Pilsner, give me the haze, and then I'm like, if those two are good, then let me just get like I'm a big single can guy, and I would like to just go and I'll just go, cool, give me 8 of the stuff that you've got, like sick, then I can take that all back or something like that. Like that's what I've grown to enjoy. But I was curious. I don't know if that's like a standard thing. So I feel like that's really interesting that it's sort of, it seems like flights are still pretty popular.
Yeah. I really, really agree with you, Jamie, on the 8-ounce pour. Like the 8-ounce pour is brilliant.
What a money
for,
pour.
like for something when you're trying it the first time. My favorite beer bar in Ottawa, Bar Lupulus, for all of their stuff on tap, they do offer 4-ounce pours, but basically everything on tap except for the really big stouts, they generally offer in 4-ounce, 8-ounce, and 16. So so you have that option. And if I'm not getting the full 16, I'm getting the 8 if I want to have a few. And it's great because it's because it's about twice the amount that you'd get from a little flight glass without needing to commit to a full pint. It's I think that really is the perfect amount for what for at least the way I drink right now, what I want in, let's call it, a taster size.
Yeah,
it's like a full taster. Is a pint 16 or 20? I always forget.
20.
20.
A pint.
We do 16. Yeah, we do 16 at town, but then our pint glasses that we send out to like licensees are like 20 ounces because I think that's what a lot of like restaurants serve.
Yeah,
so it depends.
I think the term pint is used just kind of interchangeably for a full size pour. I think it is actually 20. It is actually 20 ounces, but basically it's just used as whatever the full size pour is.
Is that because these cans are 16 ounces, right? Like the 473 mils are 16 ounces. Gotcha. I always forget because I feel like it's so variable. Like wherever you go, it's sort of like different. And some places do I don't know if I think of 8, but I feel like I've seen 12 a lot. Or somebody recently offered me 16 or 20 or like 22 or something. Something was even more than 20. And I was like, I can't remember where I was. It was some like larger place, like a more of a chainy type of place, I think. I was like, relax. That's a lot. Unnecessary. Yeah, I was going to say it's a bit much. But it's like, yeah, you're right. I like that too. The 8, if you could do try a bunch of beers, but you don't have to try like 12 of them. But if you could try like 3 or 4 and get a solid 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 ounces, so if I'm driving, I can still keep it under like a reasonable amount of liquid whilst trying a bunch of them. That's the most fun. Yeah, I like that. And I just find it's like, I don't know. Maybe because of the document. I always thought, that's why I was curious, because of the documentation. Like the stupid selfies, I'm going to post it on it and do an Instagram stories, and I'm going to write the review. I'm like, all of this stuff, I'm like, it's a whole ordeal, and it's fine. I've been doing it for 13 years. It's fine, but it's
entirely self-imposed.
Self-imposed problem. But it's like, isn't it just more fun? Because I'm like, somebody there, I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, and I'm like, trying to talk to something, like usually my girlfriend, but like talking whilst I'm writing this stupid review. I would rather do that for 2 beers and just enjoy the vibes of the place and try and, I think over time, the more breweries you go to, I don't want to have to sit there and worry. It started to become stressful. But I imagine if you don't have to review it, a flight is kind of fun, but it's still, I think even that removed for me a flight wouldn't scratch that itch of getting to know that brewery in a reasonable way. And I don't think a flight always does, but I think maybe for some people, if it does, if you're newer to beer, Is that a fair thing then to say that maybe if you're newer to beer, a flight is probably more valuable than maybe someone who's a bit deeper in, or am I reaching?
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that I have even just a ton of my friends that aren't necessarily beer drinkers, but they love the brewery atmosphere. They love going to breweries on the weekend just for, the gram or whatever. But they definitely are the ones ordering flights, and they will enjoy one or two out of them maybe. But I think the fact that they can get a smaller amount and try more at a time is enticing to them rather than committing to, a little bit of a larger pint.
Mm. And I guess it exposes them to more styles in a easier to consume way, where it's only like what, how many ounces in a flat thing? Is it like 4, 2 to 4?
5.
We do 5 ounces in our
5 ounces.
glasses.
And how many per flat? Like 4 to 6? 4. So
Four seems
Four.
seems to really be the
Four seems
standard
good.
in Canada. It was like just an interesting aside when I took a trip to Portland. I got flights at two breweries and found the flights were interestingly large. Like when I went to
Maine or Oregon?
sorry, Portland, Oregon.
Gotcha.
Great Notion did flights of 5 beers, and it was like 5 ounces. And there was another brewery
That's
that
a
I
lot.
went to that did flights of 6, like 5 ounces. And I'm like, okay, this is getting into a bit more of a commitment here. Anyway, that's just an aside. I think 3 or 4 is a more appropriate is a more appropriate size for a flight.
Yeah.
A great point too is like with the flights, like I find more breweries are trying to do them in like a crazy, cool, fun way too. Like I think it's is it Prince Eddie's that does it like on the skateboard?
That's sick.
Um
That sounds
and
about
like
right.
Sawdust, they have like the big one and like
Oh yeah, like the big
yeah,
clock
it's like
thing.
it's awesome. It's fun. It's like yeah, it's fun, it's like a way to like, get people talking and you see that go out and like Jamie said, and people see it and they're like, "Ooh, it's kind of like a Caesar." It's like once you see one, you got to have one, right? So
Yeah.
it's a way to get people to buy one.
I love that. You're
So,
right.
this is reminding me of of a conversation that we had with with Derek from Brewski talking about flights. Is untappers where when it comes to to folks ordering flights. Is this something that because I mean I'm sure you must notice this folks who are checking in beers on Untapped as they're going along and whatnot, and this is a bit of a conversation about about folks getting flights, and we were talking about are they actually getting a full taste of the beer, and is that blueberry sour that they had beforehand impacting their palate on the next one and whatnot. Is that something that you that comes up in your experience in the tap room with folks who are are kind of untapping as they go with a flight or otherwise?
For me, if they're doing all the sample sizes, that is a lot of times generally who's getting it. I generally know who's untapped, who hasn't been there, because I can see them taking a picture outside and then doing something on their phone, and I'm like, person's gonna order a whole bunch of samples. I know it, and they do, and they'll have the phone out because they're like matching what beers that they've had from somewhere, and then is this the new variation or this variation. So I know that we're doing all, like, it's not like I'm going to be shocked when they want all samples. So it does, for sure, it is more common. I shouldn't say more common, but that is who's going to for sure want a whole bunch of sample sizes, because and it makes more sense. Like when you're using, I've never been on this app or seen it. I just hear about it, obviously from my job. And I try, like, I know Andrew brewers will talk about it and what is this rated. So I like hear about it, and two of my part-time people, they use it regularly, and you're like, okay, so if you're gonna untap this as this, just make sure you're being fair. And I have to like talk about it, but it's an app I've like never been a part of. I don't, I'm very like, I'll have that Pilsner. Like, I don't need to know if it's this or this, right? But I do appreciate people do enjoy it and are like having fun with it, and they love it. And it does get people to go to all these different breweries they might never have found because they see these things. But they're for sure obviously going to come in and be like, I would like a sample of everything, because that's how you get your check-ins or something. I don't know. But
Basically,
it makes me think of like Pokemon app game. For,
Yeah.
like
It's
Pokemon Go.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So,
very apt.
yeah, it's like, they're like, I've checked in something, something, something. And then I'm like, oh, that's great. And, I was down at Treehouse with some friends who are like quite into it. And I guess it probably came in handy. Like, they had a chart and it was ranked, like all the beers that were going to be there when we were there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did have good ones because I went by this ranking thing that we had. But I think there's something to be said for just trying something you might not have tried without knowing this ranking system, and you might not try something you would like because a couple people who don't like sours tried a sour and gave it a bad rating.
Yeah.
So, anyways, regardless, it is very common with people using that app.
Yep. Yeah, I agree completely.
I'm
It's
kind
one
of
of
like Jamie.
no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think
No,
I'm like
don't
delayed a
worry.
little bit.
You are.
You are. It's
Oh,
okay. It's okay.
I was gonna say, damn Oshawa internet. Sorry. I was gonna say like Jamie. I was unfamiliar with Untapped until I started getting into craft beer and using it for like the beers I liked. And then when I started like learning about it more, and obviously when I started working at Town, I saw that it became a big thing. But there's a lot of cheaters out there that will just like ask for a tasting like at the bar, like pretending they're gonna like buy beer out of the fridge, and then just like they're on their phone like checking this beer in when they've had like a small little sip. And it's like, how do you rate that when you're like, just having such a small little sample sip? And yeah, cheaters out there.
I've seen that a
tell
lot.
ya.
I'm a big I think I'm the only one here because I know Nate doesn't use it, so I'm massive on Untapped. But I don't give a fuck what other people rate the beer. I never even look. I do it for a record. I used to have a spreadsheet on my phone. So the first 3,000 beers I reviewed, I would go into Tumblr and I would copy it and I would paste it, and it would take me hours every time. And then I was like, then Untapped came out and I was like, oh, this is much easier. So at least I know, and have I had it before? And that would just more for me. It's like, it wouldn't stop me drinking it, but it like, do I have to take a picture and review it? Because I'm a bit OCD with that. And I was like, okay, sweet. No, so now I can drink the beer. Like, it's really, it's a real handy thing. But I've heard that people would come into breweries and then look at Untapped and be like, oh, that's rated under a 4, I'm not having that one, and then just keep going and kind of bust the whoever's serving them, make their life a little difficult doing it. So I feel like it's like, I guess the question would be, do you either of you think that Untapped has, because Bebo from Third Moon has said that Untapped has an insane amount of power over many breweries, not all breweries, but over many breweries, as far as like what they make, how they operate, all the different things about their business. Do you feel that for Town or Fine Balance, or is it maybe, it's obviously there's a presence there? And I didn't know about the cheating. That's I don't do that. That's wild. That's hilarious. Like, it sucks, but that's why you see people with 20, 30,000 check-ins all the time, because they're just doing freaking tasters or they're splitting and stuff. But yeah, do you think that it has an insane amount of, not, I don't know if power is the right word, but like, does it change people's buying decisions?
We like to control like Untapped in a sense, like we are always on there when we have our beer release, and we like are the first people to like post it. So Travis, our sales and marketing guy, part of his like duties when he's like releasing the beers, like going on Untapped and like posting it and talking about the tasting notes. And we would rather him do it that has like, you know, the information behind it than, you know, someone that maybe, like you said, would have a small sip of it and maybe not like a sour and rate it bad. So, and, you know, not take a good picture of it or whatever. So, yeah, I do believe that it does have a huge effect. And we don't have a lot of like regulars anymore that really talk about it in a way that, like, oh, you know, I had to come because I saw this beer was released on Untapped and it was rated really well. But it does come up every once in a while, and I think it's still, you know, relative and really important for a lot of breweries for sure.
How's it
Yeah.
at 5 Balance?
I know that like the guys talk about it a lot. I'll hear about it if it's like if someone gave like a, you know, a bad review on something, because I'm generally going to be the person who knew. Like it's not a regular or anything, but if someone came through and gave something, and Andrew's like, "Hey, did you like?" He knows I'm not going to see it, so he'll talk, and I'm like, "Oh, it was this person. That's really random," you know, or whatever. Because I'll have actually spoken to the person. So, yeah, I guess, you know, it does. It's sometimes, I think, in a positive way, like something maybe the brewers were like, oh, okay, this was more popular than we thought this would be. Like, it's also got like an offset of that. I do think, like what you were saying, though, for like just checking in is great, because I think, you know, sometimes you're like, did I have that beer? You know, if I could personally check it in, and I still would, but I don't use like apps very much. But it would be good to know, so you didn't like repeat things maybe you didn't like, or you're like just trying to have a whole bunch of beers. So I do understand it, but I don't know how much I would say from like from my perspective it influences a lot. Like that would be, I guess, something Andrew would talk about more, and I think you guys asked him more about it, so I guess whatever he would have said.
Gotcha.
Right, but yeah, it's not like a huge thing we talk about, but I do like the idea of having like we having someone like put it on before it's just anyone putting
Yeah.
it on, like you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, because they can get the right stuff. You know, sometimes something will be posted with the wrong hops because it was a re-release, but it's now been switched, but the person doesn't know that, so they write it with something else. Or I've had people come in and ask for a beer that I've never heard of that we made, but because it was at a cask thing at like Indie Ale House or something. And I was like, oh, we do not have that here. And they're like, well, they checked it in here. And I'm like, they must have had something else, you know, like I don't
Put the
know.
wrong thing.
Yeah. So
I think
anyways,
it's great for breweries to have control, over that, for that exact reason. Like, and have the artwork for the beer, the tasting notes, like you were saying, like all the hops for that beer, and just so it's like, for me, that's where I would probably go to get that information. And if that information isn't there for my review, then I would go to Instagram and go find the post that talked about it. It's like a one. I understand breweries getting annoyed with it, because it's, if I was a brewery, I'd probably be pretty annoyed with it too. But it's also got, it's sort of a marketing tool at the same time, and you might as well own your beers and own your space, and you upload them and you release them and you put your artwork and put all the correct tasting notes and the stuff that's on the can typically, like, just to make it easier for everybody. It's super interesting. I wanted to mention, Caitlyn, did you need to do your thing at all and have a pause? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll pause and we'll be back in a second, but you guys won't even know. Alrighty. We are back. And it is time for the next product. I like saying product as opposed to just beer, because there's a bit of everything tonight. So, from your side, Caitlyn and Jamie, what are we doing? Ooh, local hero, Newtown non-alc. Now this is the
I love that
IPA.
name.
Yeah, local hero is very cool. Tell us about this bad boy.
Yeah, this was our second installment in our non-alcoholic beverages beers release. This one, we're calling it kind of like I guess there's a new beer term called no coast.
Okay.
That's pretty fun in the beer world right now. So it's not quite a West Coast. It's not, you don't get a super ton of that like piney bitterness, but then it's not super juicy or hazy like a New England style IPA. So it's very well balanced. I know Jeff loves it. It's one of his favorite midday crushers, and I thoroughly enjoy it too. I miss my hazy IPAs, but this is doing the trick for sure. And the little squirrel is just so cute. Look at that little guy on
Look
there.
at him.
So adorable.
Amazing. The cheers, y'all. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Cheers.
So nice mix of okay, I see what I mean. So it's like a little like opaque kind of thing going on there. Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome. I love that. Love the non-alcs. Love that town's moving into non-alcs. I think that's super exciting and super fun. And are they doing well for you guys? Like, are they? I know they're relatively new, but it's been picking up.
Yeah, in the bottle shop for sure. Definitely in the tap room. We had some other options in the tap room when we were moving towards like a full like non-alcoholic kind of section on our menu. So we had a couple like mocktails on there, as well as some other breweries. Like, Stay Classy from Bellwoods is one of my favorites. I don't think anybody can compare to their hazy IPA
Yeah,
non-elk.
it's brilliant.
But yeah, when we wanted to get into it, we wanted to make sure we covered like, the kind of crispy lager and then an IPA, and both of them have been doing really well. Everybody says they like them. We have a lot of people come in and grab like, 4 packs or 12 of each and make a 2-4. And yeah, it's just another great option to have. And especially for like someone like Jamie, who's not a huge drinker all the time, like to be able to still enjoy it. And it's yeah, it's really nice to have.
I love it.
That's
Makes me very
awesome.
happy. Love seeing more of it. And on the complete opposite of that, we are Nate and I are rocking the Hot Knives Double IPA. We're going to be punching for the big boys right here.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head what the hops are in this one?
I do. I was just reading about it again because I always forget Hot Knives for some reason.
There's
But
so
Hot
many to
Knives
remember.
is Belma, Citra, Talus, and Simcoe.
Ooh, that's an interesting combo. Belma as well, the old strawberry joint. That's cool. And is this a flagship or a core like LCBO? Nice.
Yeah, so it was actually our seasonal LCBO SKU
Mm-hmm.
this past winter. It was our first double IPA that we've done in the
Ooh.
LCBO. And yeah, Jeff will talk about how well it did, but I think people really enjoy the double IPAs when they go into the LCBO, and especially if they're priced well, yeah, especially with the new branding, like it just sticks out so much. And I just love like the colors now. And I think on the shelf, you see it and you're like, that looks different. And I mean, the name, like the name is just
It's
so
very
much.
cool.
It's
It is a
hilarious.
great name.
Yeah, it's very dope. It's has the new branding. Like, I guess speaking of that, I didn't really think about that as far as this concerned, but that's been going well as far as now that it wasn't just because I know it started with square wheels and then it was a slow roll until you work through the I guess the stock that you had of the older ones.
Yeah, it's new branding is always a little bit scary, I think,
Yeah.
especially for people who are so loyal to the brand. Jeff and Travis and the whole team worked really hard on dialing in what they thought the new kind of like vision was in terms of like the branding. And I think it really works. I think it's really cohesive. We've definitely had some mixed reviews about it, but I mean, again, it's one of those things people don't really love change. So,
Yeah.
and they think, we're doing it for all the wrong reasons. My favorite was when we put the Square Wheels new brand out, the new label. And some people thought that we did it to market it more towards men, which I
Okay.
didn't really see the meaning behind that. But everybody has their own opinion, so that's cool. Um, but yeah, it was kind of interesting. But for the most part, I think everybody's liked it, and everybody likes seeing something new in the fridge, and it's in a way to have like new art every time too. Like we work with so many artists that are so dope and so cool, and to be able to put their stuff on our labels now with more of like our cohesive branding, like with our merch and stuff, it just makes sense. So yeah, hopefully you
That's
guys
great.
like it.
No, it's great. At first, it was like you see one beer and you're like, okay, I see what's going on, because to me it made sense because I'd already seen the merch designs with that. And then as more and more rolled out, you see I'm like, where's this going? Because you sort of don't know where it's sort of going, but because it's really about the product line. And once you see them all together, you're like, it makes sense. It all
Yeah.
adds up. It's
And I think, and I think
Mhm.
especially like coming from like a few years of a very unique, cohesive product line that like that town had, with kind of the with kind of like the full wraparound, like art, like kind of flowing artwork, like almost looking like a painting or a wallpaper most of the time, like sometimes looking like pastel work or watercolors or what, like, or whatever that like the theme of the beer happened to be. So to switch from that to like to something like this, or like, or the hot knives, it's a pretty stark transition. If you saw the two
yeah,
side by side at a quick glance, you'd never know they were from the same brewery. So I could see that raising some eyebrows at first glance.
yeah. I liken it a lot to the
Mhm.
Judas CL one. If anyone remembers that, like Judas CL in
Yeah,
Montreal
yeah.
changed sometime during the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. And Jesus, I've never seen people so mad. People were furious because they had the same design for like 20 years, and then they changed it, and then now it's like you're just like, oh,
Mhm.
it just. I think it's just like kind of Nate said, it's a bit of a stark contrast, and then you get used to it, and then you don't think about it, and then it's fine. So it's like just that knee jerk reaction that people saying silly things, and then once you're used to it, you're like, it's great, it's fine, it makes sense.
It's like and like even one step more, that like, and the Judas CL one was like was an insane reaction. But like if you take it even further with like with some of the older, more established American breweries, like if you remember when Anchor changed
Yeah,
their marketing, all of Twitter lost their collective shit. That
it was
was
pretty funny.
like the reaction to that was insane. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's beyond the point. But I always laugh like anytime I think about that one.
It's definitely a big one. And this beer is great, by the way. So
It is.
it's
It is.
super
Yes.
juicy, big and bold. Not what is it? It's an 8 or 8.3. Um, exactly what you want from a double IPA. Really
Mhm.
nice and
Yeah.
creamy. Super tropical fruit, citrus, a little dank. Um, I've had this before, but it says here like in our good friend Untapped. It says the other thing. It told me the last time I had it, which was like October 2021. So this is one that's been around a while. That I guess was like a maybe like a once you bring it back annual. Now it's more like a regular thing, which is very cool. But yeah, this slaps. This goes. This is
This
great.
is this is the first time I'm tasting this one, and yeah, it's great. And also, I swear, Craig and I didn't coordinate our glassware choice for this one.
No, and the last one.
We did both choose our like our Hayes House vase glass for this one. Not we didn't line that up ahead of
Why are
time.
you lying? We talked about it. Remember?
No, it's true.
Remember?
I'm lying. I'm
You don't have
lying.
to lie on the pod,
Yeah,
Baron.
no, no.
We're all friends
Yeah,
here.
we totally planned it. We totally
We
planned
totally
this.
planned it. But this is
Okay.
great. Okay, yes, go.
Yeah. So jumping back into things, and I wanted to do a bit of a segue. So, like, we were talking about untapped reviews, but that's like there's a pretty clean cut over to something that I think was that Caitlyn added to our list of things to talk about here, was Google reviews.
Mm.
Um, which I imagine, I imagine there must be a reason that you added that, like, and in being the like in kind of being the front, like kind of the first line that like of dealing with the customers in like in your respective breweries. A lot of times, I imagine that Google reviews must play a big part in first impressions. So would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, Untapped is so, for one market, and Google is for everybody.
Mm.
So, and it can cover such a broad spectrum of, review, so to speak. So, for us, we rely heavily on Google. We definitely pay a lot of attention to it. We, try to update our hours as much as possible. We try to, push some like analytical stuff on there, and the OCB conference that we went to had some great panels about Google and how to engage people online more with certain words, and it's not really my forte. I let Travis take care of all that, but what I do know and what I do read a lot are the Google reviews, and we pay close attention to that because not only is it your gateway to a lot of people, but it's a way to show off your brewery in a way through the consumer's eyes. And even something as simple as like a beer being reviewed on there and a picture being taken of it the wrong way, and it looks bad, it can reflect on your business. And even James, one of our owners, something that he pointed out was we have, like I said, a new food program at town, and we have that kind of generic like black and white checkered paper underneath our food products. And when people review on Google, they take a picture, and you're seeing this on the picture. And James saw it, and he goes, "I hate that. I hate that people are taking a picture of that and what it looks like." And I want it to look good, and people are taking a picture of it. It's got to look good, right? So something as simple as that, it's like that all stemmed from Google reviews, and
Hmm.
we take those, yeah, really seriously, and we take pride in them. And it's a great way to show off your staff too. Like if there's I know this is kind of like corporate-y a little bit, but if there's a great review about a server, like I'll print that out and I'll like show it to them, and I'll show it to like the rest of the staff, so they can feel like they made a difference and like their job matters,
Hmm.
and that people notice. Um, but yeah, Jamie, I don't know if it's the same for you with like Fine Balance and if you read the Google reviews, but yeah.
I don't. Sometimes I will, but it's mainly because so Andrew will read them and he will comment on them. Andrew does all of our um, any of our social media of everything. I am mental, and it would bother me so much if I read them. And because I work like 98% of the time, if it's good or if it's bad, it's going to be about me, right? So it's and I have read them. I shouldn't say I haven't, but then like I'm like, oh my god, I remember exactly when this was. They didn't wait 10 minutes; they waited 2 minutes, and I was helping. And I will get so upset about this that I'm like, I can't look at these because I have to just know. I'm not perfect. I am gonna have and not. You're always not gonna vibe with everyone, and you do the best you can to be as happy as you can on even your terrible days. But if someone's really like grilling into you and just being so crappy to you, like eventually you're going to be like, okay, listen. And it's not that you're mean to them, you're just trying to nicely explain to them what you're trying to tell them that they're not understanding as nicely as possible, and you just don't vibe. And if you don't vibe correctly and they like Google review, I guess they can write something. I haven't had something like that happen. I've had someone like waiting or something, right? But
Right.
I just mean, yeah, yeah, I would just and like for the minimal like staff that we have there they're really like a bought in amount of part timers that I think even rating like I do get it. And if it was something terrible, Andrew would talk to me, we would talk to that person. But something like very small, like I came in and they weren't there and the person's like in the toilet because they had to go to the washroom very quickly or something, I don't I would just I'm pretty protective of my staff too, and they do like so good and they're so bought into the place that I think it would just like bother me for so long like when I read these things, because I'm like, for like one quick, and it does matter like these experiences, and that's why we have to do the best we can with what we get. But like just sometimes it's not going to work, like, and it's like a 1% time, and those are the times that someone's going to go maybe to Google. And if it was a bigger thing, obviously, and people are writing like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. This person did this," like, sure, like I probably would look at it more. But I think I just take things to heart that it would just, yeah. It's probably why I can't be on Untapped either, or something. I'd look at it, review it, oats and cream, and like cry for 2 days or something. So just stay off of everything.
Anyone reviewing that beer badly deserves pain.
That's what I'm saying. I just
Yeah, yeah.
I just took a quick look. You're both breweries are on 4.8 on Google, both of them. So
That's awesome.
That isn't it crazy how much? Like, I guess the question before. Sorry, I think I jumped in on everybody who was talking, but like we were talking about how much Untapped has an impact. Do you guys think that Google reviews have an impact? Because I know as a consumer, I don't know about you all as well. I'll say both as consumers and as the breweries, like, I will decide on the things that I do, unfortunately, say on Amazon ratings if I'm going to buy something, or on Uber Eats if it's not above 4.5. I'm not really going to rock with it. 4.8, money, let's go. That's money. So both of you have got that. Phenomenal. Like, do you find that has an impact as a, say, like, you know, in context of the conversation about Untapped, does Google reviews maybe have a bit more of a weight in the general community?
Yeah, I would say for sure. Sorry.
I think, yeah. No. Go ahead.
No, I thing and I talk too soon. And yeah, I will say, like, you'll have people come through and they'll probably Google brewery, and you know, it does matter. In Kingston, we're one of the newer ones, and if they're looking for our style, you know, there's like, I guess 7-ish in the Kingston area. So if you're looking for a specific kind, but if we were rated low, then it's not, yeah, no one's gonna, and we're pretty far out, like, considering. So I do think, yeah, people probably look up, because I do what you do. Like, I'm like, oh, I want this. Oh, which one has the best reviews of wherever I am? So I think it probably does. I don't hear about it as much, but I'm sure it does for people like passing by. For sure. I think there's also like a Facebook group that rates breweries or something. I also don't have Facebook. If you can imagine, I have nothing.
Kind of the Craft Beer Society maybe is the Facebook
so
group. Yeah.
People stopping in saying they were on this, and I don't know if they rate them on there, but they'll be like, this seemed to be highly rated, and and I'll have people come from America that have like joined that site or have looked on Google, and like they're like, yeah, and then we found here and we're from here, and I'm sure for Caitlyn it's the same. So yeah, so I think Google reviews for sure. I'm sure it impacts.
Yeah. Caitlyn, what's the vibes in town with this?
Yeah, we find, especially because we're like right off the highway, that people driving, you know, across the 401 a lot of people will be like, oh, we looked up brewery on Google and just looked up the Google reviews, and you know, everything was great and we wanted to stop in, which is so awesome. I'm that person too. Like, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm buying, I look up reviews, and if the reviews are great, that's what I'm doing. If they aren't, then more times than not, I'm not going to buy it, or I'm not going to go there. So yeah, I think they're really important. I think they do affect, especially like, you know, people out of town. Like, there's a lot of breweries in Whitby alone, and, you know, Oshawa and whatnot. So if people are just passing through and they're choosing one to go to, it's like they're going to look it up, and whoever has the best reviews, you know, they might stop in there rather than somewhere that has like a 4.2.
Yeah. Do you think do either of you think it's like unfair, or like maybe unbalanced how much power that has? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of people that just go on there to like complain. Like, you know, not everyone's going to go on there and be like, amazing service, amazing product. Like, a lot of the time it's just an outlet for people to, like, you know, expand on maybe like one small thing. Like Jamie said, like, they waited a few minutes. So, you know, in terms of like trying things out and trying small businesses out, I mean, yeah, like I just said, I'm guilty of it. I purposely don't go to places because they have bad reviews, but that place might have just had a bad day, and that person had a bad day and wrote a bad review, and then you're reading it and you're basing your whole, decision off that one thing. So
Yeah. There's a not to detract too much from the brewery story, but just on the Google review story, there's a coffee shop that I really like here in town, and they recently they shared this on their Instagram. They recently got a 1-star review because someone was unhappy about the fact that they were closed when their Google hours said that they were open. Their normal hours were correctly posted. They were like, the only reason they were closed was because they were broken into the night before, and they had broken glass that they had to fix, but before they could open, and something like that was enough for someone to post a 1-star review. That's one of those cases where I hate when it has that much power in cases like that, because you really need to think good and hard before you post a 1-star review, because this can really have disproportionate power to hurt small businesses, and that's a case when when stuff like this can have a dangerous amount of power for something of disproportionate importance.
Great point.
I try to kind of balance that. Like, I'll maybe read some crappy ones, but then I probably can't use any of these words, but I just assume there's a high percentage of people that aren't very great that writing these. You can pick whatever term you want to think of for that type of person.
Yeah.
But then there's like a high, like the other ones, and then I have to assume are just regulars that like the person. So I really when I'm looking at a place, I really have to filter through enough, because I'm like, all right, you lower ones, not great people.
Yeah,
You middle,
you can probably discount those.
yeah, because what
yeah,
mood have you ever had to be in to be like, I am gonna write a 1-star review on this? And it's like, we've all been there. We're like, this is it. This is my day. Writing a 1-star Google review. Then I'm like, I'm gonna take 24 hours to think about this because I don't want to be that person.
That's a lot of logic there, Jamie. It's a lot of logic you're spinning.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna write these 1-star reviews, you better be writing 5-star reviews on good things, because you better not be wasting all your time writing 1-star reviews just to bring down a whole bunch of businesses. So I just mean, we don't need Google star heroes, but just do your part. But so I think you just have to look at them sometimes with a grain of salt. And I've seen places that really push Google reviews. Yeah. And I think for town or us, we just aren't. We're not like, oh, and after, if you could just give us a Google review, if you had a good time, you hope someone might be like, what a great place, I'm going to write a review. And I've seen, I guess when I have looked, I've seen some on there and I'm like, oh my God, that is so nice that they wrote this. And maybe this is why I should look at them. I wouldn't even think that meant something to these people that I did this basic thing, I thought. Right? So for them to actually take the time to do it, that's really great. But I don't know. Yeah, it's for the times that it's not, I don't know. But I just don't think I don't think you get people, you don't ask people to write them, right? No. Yeah.
No. My husband worked at a very large chain restaurant for a long time, and that was actually a part of their I guess goals for that quarter were to get so many 5-star reviews on Google. The servers pushed it, the managers pushed it, and it was part of their bonus structure for that quarter, which I thought was just so absurd. But that's what they live off of. That's what they just oh. He no longer works there, but
Yes, your husband is a friend of mine, and I worked at that same chain in a different location, and they were very. I can saying that I'm like, oh, that's messed up, but I'm like, okay, they're pretty corporate, so I imagine that it's like important. At the same tokens, that sucks, and I really agree with you both there that like it's a little icky. There's something about it. So
Yeah, I
like,
hate that. I
yeah,
hate
it's a little
that.
fraudulent. I've had friends that have asked me to review their stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't mind. Like my barber was telling, we were just randomly talking about it, and he was like, I had multiple recommendations for him, and he was on like 200, he was on 5 stars out of 200 something reviews or whatever, and I was like, I have a great time every time here. It's perfect. I was really worried coming from Montreal finding a new barber, and I was like, let me go and review it because it was that good. And I feel like if it's like, usually the thing is, it's usually 5 or 1. And I saw a meme like this week that was like, hang on, honey, they just got home. Hang on, honey, I need to go review this restaurant 3 stars to say it was below average, average food and average service. I'm like, who's reviewing something? Who's motivated to review anything 3 stars? It's either exceptional or so horrible you need to warn people about it. And the warning side, I always read what they say, kind of what you were saying, Jamie. Like, you read what they say and you're like, well, this is a really dumb reason to rate it 1, so I'm going to discount this one. So you've kind of got to like do the mental work and go through them to sort of like ascertain, is this rating accurate? Like if it's a low rating overall, like is it accurate or what's the deal? It's like ratings have I guess both sides to them as far as their value. So you kind of got to consumer work. It's interesting, eh?
I think you hope word of mouth is where it's at, right? Like
in beer especially, yeah.
And I think just outside, like making relationships with other breweries, like I find people going on road trips, if they're going to Toronto, I always am like, well, let me tell you places to go. And I'm like, if you're going to go on another stop, you should go to town. And if you're going past way, and I'll write ones down in like Toronto area, and I'll just like write them down for them. But it's even for that, instead of them like Googling, like checking Google reviews, if you care that people are going to have the same service that you assume you're giving them, and you can tell already the beers they like. I love being like, oh, let me write down where you're going. And both ways, sorry, I'm doing this because I'm thinking just Toronto and Ottawa, but I guess Montreal as well. Like any of those directions are going. Just Kingston life, we only have 2 ways. You're going to Ottawa, you're just nowhere else. But anyways, like I like writing down things for people so they know where to go. And you like, assumably, if you've been in the places, you've had service that you're like, oh, and they are going to get good service. Like, these are great places. You'll really like it. You like these beers. This is why you're like, and that's like the kind of people that you want kind of in your tap room working too, that could send you along. One of Caitlyn's staffers comes to Kingston pretty regularly. She's and so she was just down, and it's great. And so like perfect example of a person who probably says like, oh, you're going that way, fine balance is great, have this beer, and I'm always telling people, oh, go this way, stop at town. Oh, you're going further, go to Third Moon. If in Toronto, if you're going in the interior, here's some ones to go to. And I think there's more value in that from someone directly. Like you can just see the excitement when you've like written out places, and they don't have to think about it. And I don't know. I think there's more value in that than being like, oh, we looked at this and then we thought we'd go to this obscure brewery that has really good reviews, and you're like, oh yeah, I've never heard of it, but it probably is great, but you like this style, so I think this would be great, but you should go there too. Like, I don't know. Anyways, I think that has more value. Just
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I would much rather go to a place that like that a friend has recommended, because oh man, you're going to Kingston, here's where you need to go, because I had such a blast like when I was there. The beer's so good, the staff are great. I'm like, all right, fucking done. I'm going there. I would much rather go to a place on that account than checking the Google reviews of the city that I'm traveling to.
Yeah. I would only check that if I don't have the friend in the city that I'm going to. Or sometimes I'll post it on stories if I'm like, when I was in Miami last year, and I knew a few people, but not really well enough. So I posted on stories, and the people who got back to me, there was only like 3, and they were excited. They were, oh, bro, I just got back. You need to go here. I was like, all right, sweet. You're fucking amped. You're like, Jim, shouts to Jim from Third Moon. He gave me a whole bunch of really fantastic places because he was just there. And I was like, sick, thank you. That's what I needed. And it's like, it does make such a difference. But for those other places, like I'm going to Buffalo tomorrow, and I've got friends who are in Rochester, not in Buffalo, and they gave me Buffalo lists. And I'm like slowly working my way through it. But I'm not checking reviews. I'm checking their Insta. I got this wicked list that these 2 guys are giving me. So I'm like, sweet, and I'm checking their Instagram, kind of what you guys were saying, like, what styles do they do? Does the tap room look cool? Like, does it feel like it'd be fun? Like, do they have some good food? And where is it? And all this type of stuff. So my battery just died. But yeah, it's a real, it's an interesting thing, hey? As far as like, whether it's reviews versus recommendations and the impact that has.
And I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing too. That like when people ask me where like where to go for a certain place, like when you went to Portland, like last year,
you hooked me up,
and you asked me where to go, I was so amped to tell you my favorite places to go.
Do you know how helpful
and I was
that
so
was?
glad that you hit that you hit up a bunch of the ones that I did.
Do you know what the best thing was? We went to that Tandem. There's this Portland, Maine. We went to last year, and we went to this cafe that Nate, you told me about, called Tandem Cafe. And I waited in the car because we have a dog. We take him everywhere, so usually one of us goes in, one waits in the car with the dog. And Tiff went in, and she saw. I don't know if you guys have seen the show Succession.
Yeah,
you have. Do you know Greg, cousin Greg?
Yes,
he was there. He was just fucking sitting there.
You saw Greg?
Tiff did. She got him. He was like, she was taking a video of the place, and she was like, "Who's this tall fucking guy in the way of my video?"
No,
oh my god, it's cousin Greg. And then I didn't. She came back. She's like, "Cousin Greg's in here." I'm like, and we drove past slowly, and he was just sitting on the patio. I forgot. I don't know why I didn't tell you that, but like that was really cool. So it's like going to a city, and like Nate had been there. I'm like, yeah, I went to that High Roller Lobster place, which was phenomenal, and all these different things that just made my trip so much easier because I'd had people tell them, and I've got a list because I lived in Montreal and then I went to Vermont all the time, and then I lived in Montreal but came to Toronto all the time. I've got like 3 lists for all those 3 places that probably at least once a month someone would ask me for that, and I would just, whether it's Instagram for the BAOS or personally, I would just, here you go, boom, these are the ones, here's the priority ones I think you'll like the most, and then here's the other bunch of ones, go look at all of them on Instagram, see which one you like, and that'll just take away the Google need.
Yeah,
because all of that information.
I would love to just cut that out if I've got a source.
Yeah.
I think we cut Caitlyn off at one point.
Sorry, Caitlyn. Yes.
Caitlyn, you had something to say there.
Oh no, I was gonna say I am also going to Buffalo tomorrow.
Really?
Oh, amazing.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Maybe we talk off there.
Actually, it's just a girls' trip. Me and my mom and my aunt.
Cute.
Yeah, and we're just doing some baby shopping. No, nothing too exciting, but yeah, I do love me some Buffalo. I'm mostly excited for Olive Garden personally, but
people keep telling me about that.
A dream of mine.
I've never been. We go to Trader Joe's every time. I have a bunch of what's in my little basement, and we've got like a bunch of like shelves right in front of me, and I've got like all the additional stuff, Trader Joe's spices and like all the chips and like all the. It's the greatest. I can't fucking wait. You should drop a few bills and you just stock up. Oh, God, Trader Joe's is the best in the world. My God. Anyway, what are we doing? Okay. So something else that we haven't really touched about. I feel like we've kind of like organically touched on a lot of our topics.
So wait. Before we jump into that next topic, we should probably crack the last beer.
Nathaniel, this is why you run the show. All right. I feel like I've been drinking very quickly tonight because all of these products are just some of my favorites.
God, they're all so good. Like we usually pace ourselves pretty well, but no, and I'm usually better than Craig is, but even I'm just plowing through these right now.
I'm like I took it a bit more chill with Hot Knives though because it's 8.3. I was like I got to really take it easy, or it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but square wheels and Trailhead were just like gone,
emptied, over. Yep, you know the vibes. So spicy time. Is this spicy peach?
Yep.
Let's
I've been
go.
basically just watching Caitlyn's hands to see which one she's.
I love that. That's beautiful. In
In.
case people didn't know, Caitlyn has not a video delay, but an audio delay, and it's not her fault. So just note. So that's why, if in case we wait for a second, it's just because of the audio delay. Completely the fault of this software, which I am furious at. But we're making it go. It's great. Oof. So peach has got to be one of the best.
I love it.
The best flavors. Yeah, bright with the Sabro. Oof.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh gosh, spicy water. It's the best. Nathaniel, then, is there anything else? I guess we sort of explained spicy water. Is there anything else you want to add about that? No, just get it, buy it by the case. Don't ask the price.
It's great. Yeah, I'll be the one who labeled it.
Yep.
Be excited. If it's crooked, don't Google review it.
Don't do it. All right. Have some respect. Jamie works very hard. There's 4 full-time employees. Okay, she's doing everything. God damn it. So we are doing this one. I've actually been really looking forward to trying this one. This is the collab with Slake. If I'm Mount View Farmhouse IPA, which I didn't really realize. Love that Slake's, which is obviously not too far from you guys. They have a phenomenal view from their patio. And love to see that the PEC breweries are collabing with Fine Balance. So, Farmhouse IPA, talk about that.
So, pretty funky. It has Brett yeast in it. Yep. Yep. So we did one 16 months ago with all my friends. That was the first time we did that. Dunder.
Yeah, that was great.
You guys have that one?
I'm pretty sure I did. Yes.
I didn't have Dunder, but I had Extra Hell.
That's what I did. Sorry, we had Extra Hell. That was the other one, which was the Fine Balance side, right?
Which was the Fine Balance side, yeah.
Yes, that was fantastic. That was really great. And that tripped me out. When I was in Duran getting that, I thought it was an All My Friends beer. It was so accurate. I was looking for All My Friends Extra Hell, and it wasn't coming up. I'm like, they're really good with Untapped. Why is it not here? And then I was like, oh. it was great. It tricked me. I enjoyed that a lot.
That tap slippery slope happens.
Yeah.
So it is a farmhouse IPA. It is a different style than we would usually do. Obviously, we respect Blake's Saison beers, farmhouse beers. So just doing it again. One of our brewers is pretty into this kind of thing. He's really good about doing different beers. So we just tried it again.
I love it. What makes it a farmhouse IPA? So it's like Brett yeast.
Yeah.
Well, that right there.
So that's it, though? But I wouldn't say Brett alone makes a farmhouse.
Oh, I would.
Well, let's fight about it. I don't know.
It's because of the, I guess, like tasting notes sometimes when you put Brett in it, right? It's got...
You are right. It smells very funky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So specifically, was it's still relatively, it's still pretty hazy, to be honest. It doesn't look that different to the other IPAs. Maybe a little less milky. But
it's a wild difference now.
Yeah, the nose is crazy. Nose is fuck, I don't know, I can't. There's like a different tropical fruit. At first, I was gonna say green apples, but it's not that crazy.
Kind of like
stone fruity. Yeah, pineapple. It's but there's a funk to it that's throwing me off.
Really powerful though. Like when you're pouring it on draft, you can smell it pretty far.
Yeah, I could smell it when I was pouring it. It definitely has like a pungent kind of whiff off of it right away.
Yeah. So it's Farmhouse IPA. Does it? Oh, Nectaron and Amarillo. Once again, getting my information from Untapped. Very handy.
Oh, I was gonna tell you and pronounce it better this time, but I did write this all down because and I had this big joke because of maybe the first time you had him, where you asked him the hops and pistachio, and he was like, couldn't think of them, so I was like, I don't want a pistachio moment of
pistachio moment.
So he
I love that. That's a thing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, and he probably hasn't thought of it for that long, but I was like, I don't want to have one of your pistachio moments.
Oh, that's great.
Now he's lost sleep.
We're
The
we're totally
poor
gonna
guy.
bring that up again in a
Oh,
couple
that
of weeks
episode's
when we
already
chat with
being
him.
called that for him now. That's definitely being
Yeah,
called
yeah.
that. Now that
We're
Jamie
gonna
said
call
it.
the episode Testaccio Moment.
Done. Folks, cheers.
Cheers.
Fantastic beverages tonight. Good Lord. Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
You're right. You said pineapple. That's so
Kind
pineapple-y.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not kind of. Like definitely. Like that's super pineapple-y. The
Mhm.
the body or the palate is that much more pineapple-y than the nose even. Wow.
There's quite a bit of funk on the nose. It's
But it's
more
calm.
it's more subtle on the palate, but but the
Yeah.
nose it's quite pungent, or at least as it comes off to me, anyways.
Yes,
Whoa, for
I agree. It's more intense on the nose than it is on the actual the body
Hmm.
there. Um
Really interesting.
yeah, I feel like I've had farmhouse IPAs, but like not for a while, like not for ages.
Hmm.
This is great, and it's only 6.2, so it's sort of on the chiller side. Yeah, this is great. So was it Amarillo and Nectar? Love it. Um, Amazing. So while I do the review there, let's get into the other topic. There's something else that we want to touch on tonight was that I feel like we've probably never ever talked about on all of the episodes here is like merch, really, for breweries. I wonder if you two could just basically talk in general, like the importance of merch, the volume that it goes through. Like, if there's any, I'd be curious, like what percent of customers buy merch or like seriously look at it that you could tell, or is there like you see someone and you can identify, like sort of like Jamie, you said before, you see someone taking a photo outside and doing something on their phone, you're like, they're ordering a flat. Like things like that where you can like pinpoint behaviors because of patterns over time and sort of like, is there any, you know, differences or say with merch, is it just like, a simple logo on a shirt flies out the door, is that, but it might to the team seem like this is a little basic, a little low effort here. I'm not really doing much, but people just want that logo. Like just sort of like general conversations around merch. Like, do you need to push it? Is that something that you're sort of suggesting? Like, yeah, what's the general merch vibes?
Yeah, our marketing team goes pretty hard on the merch game,
Okay.
and they do a fantastic job on it. Again, like the designs are very much cohesive with like the brand now, and like the cans um, and they're versatile too. Like a lot of the stuff that we do does have that kind of like punk skateboardy, like tattoo kind of vibe, but then you have like our shirts that just have like the simple logo on it because some people that's what they're looking for. They're not looking
Right.
for something super flashy and artsy and but I find that t-shirts do really well, hats. Like the first thing I ever bought from town actually was this hat like 5 years ago. Um, we sell a lot of stickers. People love stickers. It's like something easy that you can design every month, and people like myself put them on water bottles and laptops and such, and it's great marketing. And glassware too. We sell a crap load of glassware, especially just like the ones with our simple logo on the front. It's a great gift for a lot of people, and especially people just like passing through. They like, oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Love those
Yeah.
ones.
I love
Those
that.
are
Had to go grab them. I knew I had them nearby.
sick. But yeah, so I think merch like is a huge part of like what we do at town, and we're always trying to figure out ways to like make merch like more accessible to people too. Like I find the like even like t-shirts now, like for females, even like the oversized look is huge. So like we go through like extra larges so fast now that we never did. We would like sell out of smaller sizes quickly, and
Interesting.
the trends you find like with that kind of stuff is kind of funny. but yeah, and you know, it's like I said, it's just not all men buying it either. Like women are coming in and being like, oh, that's a really cool shirt or that's a really cool hat, like and buying it for themselves, which I think is really cool. And we encourage our staff to buy it too. You know, and buy it for their friends, and it's just like a small little quick little marketing that, you know, people are walking around. I even like, it's so crazy to me, like still walking around like Whippy and seeing people in like a town hat. And you're like, huh, like that's pretty cool. Actually, great story. My husband and I were in Vegas like years and years ago, and we went to the Grand Canyon. This was even before I worked at town. I was just a regular, and we were at the Grand Canyon ready to watch the sunset. And I looked over, and someone was wearing a town hat. And I was like, oh my God, like they're
No
from
way.
Whippy. That's crazy. And I had to go over and say something. And they were like, this is, yeah, one of my favorite breweries. And I wear this hat all the time. And yeah, I always think of that story. And so merch is huge. Like it's crazy.
Hmm. That's awesome. What's the vibes of Fine Balance, Jamie?
Well, our marketing team, Andrew. So he designs it and picks it. Yeah, it's funny Caitlyn said that because we had maybe talked today or yesterday about merch, and I was like, all right, new idea. Stop ordering smalls, large and extra large, the size of the craft beer shirt buyers. Like it is crazy because Caitlyn's right. It's the same. It's like you could have like a couple extra large and they wouldn't fly, and now they are gone. Like I had someone call today for an extra large shirt, and I was like, we actually don't have like, and it, like what you're looking for, and it is crazy. But before, yeah, you could maybe get a couple smaller or whatever, but now everyone is doing oversized stuff. Um, we sell glasses probably quite a bit. But yeah, we don't have a ton of merch.
There he is.
We our stickers our stickers actually I realize have no information on them. I think they just are the unicycle and says Fine Balance. And I've realized this because my daughter, we travel quite a bit, and she sticks them like graffiti onto other stickered walls. So they are
Oh, I love that.
Oh yeah, like they are in Switzerland, Germany, like the grass market in Edinburgh because we go to Scotland quite a bit. Like all over, she will find a place with stickers and like because I'm like you can't put it on something clean because then you're vandalism. But if you're contributing to an already sticker thing, this is fine. So, but then I was like, this doesn't say anything. This just says Fine Balance. Like I guess maybe it's giving someone like an uplifting life moment, like find your balance. But otherwise, so we have to do that, like get like reframe on some stickers for marketing. But yeah,
Otherwise, at least it's a very obscure Easter egg for for
totally.
anyone who
Yeah,
happens to come across it and notice it. If I was ever on a trip through Edinburgh and I'm I don't know in a bathroom and I see a Fine Balance sticker, I'm going to be like, holy shit, like that's fucking
yeah.
awesome.
That would be sick.
Yeah, totally. Like if you're ever in a Little Delirium in Amsterdam, there's a Fine Balance sticker. There's one in Fierce Beer in Edinburgh. Yeah, they're just, but yeah, it would be great if I meet one person who has seen the sticker that knows what it is. But right now it's just us plugging stickers around. But yeah, I think it's
I
great
love that.
though. Yeah, but I think it's great. Our hats are probably like Andrew's a big 5-panel hat wearer, so we have a lot of 5-panel hats, and they are pretty big sellers. Like we have that and like a trucker hat, but our hats sell quite a bit. But anyways, yeah, we don't have like a too exciting stuff on our shirts or anything. I'm trying to get some like neon colors for fun. We'll see how that goes. But I don't know. Yeah, so I don't have as much to say because like town has I have your like a jungle looking boonie hat, like yeah, I have that.
Oh yeah.
Wanted that. I have the good friend, the Cheers one. Remember I got like that huge giant one because it was the last one, and I have 2 of those. Like I have quite a bit because when you go to town, like their merch is crazy. So like you have so much stuff, so you're always like grabbing stuff. But yeah, so town does have so much merch, but we just don't have as much. Like if you came in Fine Balance, you'd be like, oh, there's no merch here. Yeah.
Gotcha. So overall, it sounds like merch is a pretty important part of any brewery's business. From what you're both saying, that it's like it's pretty key. I know both Nate and I own a lot of breweries merch. It sounds like all four of us, sorry, do that. It's one of those things like you want to bring something back, and I would probably say almost every brewery has at least a reasonable amount of merch, at least something,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
At the very least, glassware, and and usually some tees or
like a
snapback
logo
or
T-shirt. Yeah. Yeah. It's something that like I don't know. There's some places that like I remember like in Portland, there Bissell Brothers had like almost like a mini clothing store.
Oh yeah,
How
that's
much
true.
stuff they had, and then there's other. I feel like it's variable, but I wonder if it's like would it move for even if it's just pretty simple. Like I don't think most of it has to be crazy, but like would it like like is it more like you want to test the market, or could you just do it and put merch out there and then it'll just you can see it'll probably just move anyway, because at the end of the day, if you're paying attention to all the other things we're talking about tonight, if service is great and the product is great and the vibe is great, you want to slap that on something that you wear.
Yeah, I actually think the more popular ones for ours have been just like basic white and black tees.
Hmm.
So, but that's very standard. Fine balance is like, our marketing is very like simple and clean, like, so I think that just translates very the same to our merch. Like we had a couple 3/4 zips, and they are my favorite sweaters. I have two of them, and I usually in the fall just circulate between the two. So I do like that part about our merch is it does translate well to what our beers look like too. Like you could pretty much get that it's a fine balance thing, because you can check by just looking at it. Like we don't have too much crazy stuff going on.
But I think
But
that fits the brand quite well.
That's what I mean, because it fits our brand. Trust
Yeah.
me, I would love it on 3/4 zip, but I think I'm gonna get it at town before I'm gonna get it at 5.
We got to petition Andrew for this one. And I guess like, hey,
my marketing team, Andrew.
the marketing team, Andrew. We'll have a chat with him. We'll get that neon going. And I guess like coming back, we said before, like the new town look on the cans came from, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember seeing square wheels. I'm like, that looks like the shirts, because it was like I noticed that like there was a few before you launched the new labels. There was a bunch of merch that was essentially similar or the same fonts. And they reminded me, my cousin got me a t-shirt from Australia from his favorite cafe. And it kind of had like something about this, like at least the square wheels kind of looks like this old school diner fonts or something. And this like his favorite cafe, their t-shirt looked like it was like a, whatever, the diner from the 50s or something like that. The way that it was positioned, I was like, okay. So when I saw this, I was like, there's a consistency that had almost been over a series of maybe 6 to 12 months that had been like, all right, we got this t-shirt here and this hat here and then this, then the rollout came from that. Was that like a full intentional thing, or was it just like, hey, let's change the branding after the merch was doing well? Was there sort of like a correlation?
I think it was probably a little bit of both. As you know, Jeff is a very like meticulous, intentional person, and everything is like very well thought out. And I wish, yeah, I wish you could like see him at the brewery. Like he's on his laptop and like he pays attention to like the smallest little details, but obviously they do pay off. And with the merch, like, yeah, we had a couple artists like Travis, again, who's in charge of our sales and marketing. He was working with a few artists. One of them was an artist out of Toronto, Bree, and they do like a lot of artwork that is kind of more of that like old school kind of like tattooy vibe. And Travis was really digging that. Jeff was really digging that. And yeah, and then we like kind of took that, and then like I think when everybody kind of saw that design like in real life, like on t-shirts and some of our like other stuff like stickers, Jeff and Travis were like, I think let's take this and like make it make sense on the cans, and let's make it make sense in like the new branding. Jeff can probably talk more about like what that kind of vision looked like in the progress, but yeah, it was definitely like well thought out, and it took them a while to get there, but it definitely, I think, stemmed from like a lot of the merch and a lot of the designs we were getting for those.
That's very cool. Yeah, it's the whole beer merch thing is super interesting, and I guess it's just for some reason. Well, we had a pod on the Lalo Brewery in Toronto take their they shut down their tap room, but they're doing contracting, and they have a bunch of they're pretty serious with the merch. They do like cut and sew stuff where it's like actually, designing the way that the things look. That they're taking it really serious with the merch. So that was probably one of the only conversations I think we'd had on the pod about merch. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's fascinating to hear both the like the perspectives of sort of like how often people buy and sort of what they're after, and also the sizing thing. The fact that like large and extra large. I know that they're like, how do I say this gently? Like craft beer fans sometimes trend larger on the sides, due to the nature of the product in which we all consume, but the fact that like even I guess that baggy look, shout out to the 90s, is coming back now, and all the like, our Gen Z mates are jumping on it. That's fascinating to me. I really didn't. And you know what I noticed? I'm starting to wear baggier t-shirts. I was wearing like the fitted for ages, and I don't know what happened. Someone gave me a baggy one. I was a bit bigger, and I was like, I don't know about this. And then I bought something and it ended up being really bad. And then now I'm just like, anything that's like small feels so small. And now I'm like enjoying the look. So I wonder if that's just like, maybe it's just, the way fashion kind of goes cyclical and stuff like that. Which is interesting. So the last sort of topic to bring this home, the one we had, basically we covered everything like unintentionally. I love this. This is awesome. Was kind of like the flagship versus new releases, and I know both breweries have both, flagships and regular releases. I'd just be curious on and just general thoughts on it. Like, do either of you have or maybe like feel a push? Maybe is the word from clients. So like basically coming from the taproom manager's perspective. So aside from the production and everything, like what are the people saying? Do the people come in like, what's new this week? And do they expect do they expect 2-3 new beers every week, or
are they coming in looking for their oats and cream and their square wheels?
There you go, exactly right. They're tried and true, can't go wrong. If you're going to roll the dice in 2024 in this economy, do you want to roll the dice on something new, or do you want to get oats and cream and square wheels that are going to slap every time? So just general sort of like vibes on that for your respective breweries. Whoever.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I get asked every day what's coming out this week. And we used to, tell the staff early in advance what was coming out, and then we quickly had to change that because things happen, and beer at the end of the day is science, and you can't sometimes control what will happen. Mistakes can get made, and things have to get pushed back for multiple reasons, canning schedules and production schedules and whatnot. But I think for the most part, everybody is looking for that hot new beer still. And, there's obviously favorites out there. Like, we're so grateful that everybody loves Square Wheels and Outside Jokes. And, when we bring back brands like Hot Knives and Mad Nice IPA that we just released last week that we've had before, people get hyped about it because they love it, and it's back for a limited time. But to put out a new beer and really get like people's opinion of it, and if they like it or if they don't, like we just released a sour today, raspberry punch, and we haven't had a sour in probably a long time now, but simply just because we're unfortunately and fortunately running out of space to brew beer, and we can't put out those one-offs as often as we want to anymore. So, people definitely get excited when we do, and especially when there's styles that we don't do very often. Uh, sometimes they're well received and sometimes they're not. We did a Women's Day brew, actually, hopping hurdles. One of our brewers, Kiera, it was her first recipe that she had written, and all the women got together and brewed it, and we were all really excited about it. And it was great. It was very well received. People loved it in the tap room, but can sales were pretty slow on that one. And I think it was just because it was a newer style, maybe, that people aren't used to from town. And, it was what it was. And yeah, but like the sour today, like, almost every person that came in to buy beer was grabbing a can of that or a 4-pack. Everybody in the tap room, every table had at least one person drinking it. So yeah, it's interesting to like see the trends in like one-offs versus like core brands, especially when you're doing stuff that's like, you're not doing very often. And I'm sure Jamie can say the same thing.
Yeah, like probably not every day, but at some point, every other day, I'm ruining someone's day. Like we don't have, like, I'm not gonna have the sour they want. If I have a sour, it's not the one I wanted, right? It's like it's gonna happen, and it's like okay, but we have these, and some don't have sours, but we do have them pretty regularly. But they sell out, and you hope people are just like, this is so great. You hope this is so great. Like my local brewery is doing so well. Like, and that's like sometimes happens, but when you're out of oats and cream or out of tiptoe, that is like it happens because it is something we like. We have licensees that have it. We have it the most on tap. It's gonna run out. It comes back very quickly. It's not like we're like we'll make it again in 6 months. Like it is regularly in. Like we're not idiots. Like in well, yeah, the brewers and Andrew are planning it properly, but it sometimes is going faster than we would know. Like you don't know when people are going to come in and buy like cases of oats and cream. You can't guess that. You just assume it's going to go fast, but sometimes it goes very fast. And I'm just using that one as an example. But same with pilsners. The brewers make really good pilsners, and they just fly
They sure
as well.
do. They sure
It's
do.
crazy. They just fly. Like, I'm like obviously the brewers make them, but Andrew and I, like Andrew's also our salesperson. I'm like the very minor salesperson. But we have to talk regularly because I'm seeing what's going on. I'm like, now we got to pull this back, and this is what we're at, and like we're constantly talking up because I'm seeing how it's going, and like I'm like this is going to be gone by this, and we're going to need this, so we have to be like really smart about it, and we've learned that through trial and error. Obviously, I have a very good relationship with Andrew, so he can like appreciate what I'm saying because I can see how quickly this is going. But you also do need new stuff because it is like for sure we could be doing fairly well with a lot of the staples of the sours and the pilsners and this and the standard stuff because it is a lot of people coming in to buy the same standard stuff. But you do have the tons of people come in and buy like 4-packs of every new thing that come out. They have like their friends that are visiting, so they want to buy everything. And these new releases do keep people coming in, and then they might buy like some oats and cream and tiptoe too, but they did come in for like Wander and Descent our doubles that came out this week. They're like, oh, like I want to get these, but then I'll pick up my old favorites, right? So and it keeps it fun. Like it's fun to talk about. We like a lot of people will fall back to their favorites anyways, but it does keep it fun. It keeps our jobs fun, I think. Like having new things to talk about. But I think it's funny that when people say, is there something new? Is there something new at this, like new lately? And I'm like, okay, well, when's the last time you're here? And sometimes 2 months ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, like this is new, this is new, this is new, this is new. And it's what's new to you is like what came out yesterday, and what's new to them is like 5-6 beers ago. So, right. So you have to know that too. So anyways, I think it's so important to have like people will drive from places like we have some people who come down from Perth and they're like, oh, we're here for the tiptoe, but if we don't have it, I'm like, and they're like, oh, do you just, and I'm sure you get this, Caitlin, when you're out of something you regularly have, like, are you not making it anymore? And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're making one of our flagship beers, but we're just don't have it right now. Like, it's,
They could call.
My favorite question is when people go to the fridge and they're looking and they're like, "Is this all you have right now? You got anything else in the back?" Or
Yeah.
like, no, yeah, this is all we have. Like we don't hide things in the back. Like like something secret's back there, just waiting to come out.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's another one too.
Just people getting excited,
Oh, of course. It's so funny though. And I'm like, no. And I do like, Caitlin, like town has where you can do pickups. And I am like, if you see it online, you're not going to be coming for 2 weeks. Just do a pickup order and we'll just put it in the back. Like then it holds the beer you want. You don't have to worry about it when you're visiting and we'll already have it. And I think it's just educating people that so they're not disappointed every time you're coming in. They're like, oh, I saw you had it, but we weren't coming for a month. It's like, okay, well, when you're coming closer, I don't know, like whatever.
No, I know what you mean.
It has happened where I'll have beer on hold for that long, and I'm like emailing them, I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if someone checks Instagram and then they visit in a month and expect the lineup to be the same, then I feel like that's a lack of understanding of the industry in general. Like it's possible, it could, but if it's a small batch like this, and also if it's an IPA, you probably don't want it if you're not coming.
Oh no, yeah. And it depends on the events you have too, right? Like we can't judge in an event. I'm just speaking for both of us right now, Caitlin. You can correct me if I'm. But we can't judge an event what everyone's going to be drinking. So like we've sometimes like I'm like, oh, I need to have pilsners because I'm going to have this event. I'm guessing there's going to go a lot of pilsner drinkers because it's an event, and they all are drinking IPAs, and I'm just like, okay, that usually you do need like a crisp pilsner, but and then you go through that keg and maybe that was your last keg. I don't know. So you do have to kind of like be ahead of the game a bit of what for everything. I just use pilsners for an example because anytime we have an event, I want a pilsner. So I'm always like, I have this event coming up, so we need to like have these, and I'm probably annoying more than anything to make sure we have things ready for like a big event we might have. But because people ask for events, like what beers are you going to have on tap for this event in 2 months? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but we'll vaguely have these amount of beers, right? But just for some things, you just to make everyone happy, you just need to like be kind of innovating and bringing out new beers, but also having like staples on tap. Like I couldn't imagine having an event someone's so excited to have at town and like nothing they know is on tap. They'd be like, oh, okay, like 50-50 is probably a good balance generally, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
And I guess I'm using to go and on draft because people just come in to get draft.
Right.
And they want like draft, and it usually you can disappoint people that way where you have your new release, they want a draft, but you only have it in cans still because you haven't cleared a draft line for it. So
gotcha. So then they could just take it to go and they're fine.
Well, they're fine enough, but yeah.
They're fine enough.
Fine enough. I almost feel like anyone feeling this level of disappointment and being annoyed with any of the staff is like, it just doesn't understand like how it works. It's just like, I don't know. I've been disappointed many, many times. What are you going to do? You're not going to bitch at the person there. You're just be like, fuck, I probably should have thought about that beforehand because I know better. I know how it works. If you're a noob, I get it.
Yeah, I almost blame myself in those situations.
It's not almost like 100% blame yourself. I'm like, oh, I should have adjusted my expectations to know that these things move quickly, and I could have like maybe if you go visiting the States, it's a different story or something because you might not be able to order online a lot of the time. You need some sort of address or an American credit card or whatever. Actually, not always. Either way, it might not be always possible to get stuff put aside or whatever. I don't know, part of the experience of visiting a brewery, maybe you're excited for something, but it's very rare in 2024 if you're visiting a brewery that they're not going to have something like, maybe they don't have the exact thing you want, but something similar. You know, you're just going to enjoy the experience. You've traveled to go there. It's like the journey was fun. Then you get there, you're like, sick, we're here, cool, let's vibe it up and just see what they've got, like, type of thing. It's like part of the. I don't really check now that with all of this conversation, it's interesting. I'm thinking of my own behaviors, and I don't always like obsess about what they have for the most part. It's like if you're traveling and seeing what's going on, like tomorrow, I'm going to go to other half because I haven't been for a bit and see what they got. I don't really care what they have. Like, you got something sick? Sweet. I'm going to drink a few things there. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go check.
Craig, Craig and I talk about this a lot, that like we're so over beer FOMO.
Yeah. Done with beer FOMO, bro.
Yeah, it's just so like, it's so not a thing with that like, with us anymore. It's just one of those things of the breweries that we love, like Fine Balance and like Town. Even if there's a beer there's a beer release that we happen to fuck up on, like if we sleep on it a little bit, and by the time we get there, it's sold out. Like, you know what? That's on us. We missed out. There are guaranteed 6 to 8 other beers there that that we're gonna love, and we can still have a good time and enjoy our beverage. It's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had someone come in today and they asked for like a collab beer that we haven't had for 2 months, and I feel like I wrecked their day.
Oh no!
So disappointed in me, I think, as a person for not having this beer for. I was like,
well, if that person's watching,
like, pretty, like, you know, it's a while ago, like, you know, and
they move fast.
Yeah, they move fast, and that's good. And like, this is similar-ish to what you were looking for. So, you know, you'd steer them somewhere else and hope that they're okay with it. But it was just because she heard about it and wanted to try this one. Yeah. And I appreciate it. I can totally appreciate it. But again, it's just not going to happen. Like, especially, we don't want to keep something that long, generally, obviously.
No, you can't.
Yeah. And it's like so great for us when things are moving quicker, right? So, but yeah, it is pretty sometimes, because I was like, oh, like I feel bad, but like there's nothing I could really do about it. But
I probably should have ordered online.
Yeah, that's my
got it delivered, right? Got it held.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel bad for people who don't know. Like, I know that one of the big gripes that people have, and I think maybe one of you two have mentioned it tonight, like where like people go to a brewery for the first time, they'll try something, they think it's great. The next time they go there, like, oh no, we're never making that again, man. Like, that's fucking one and done. Like, and they're like, what? Because it's like, for a noob to craft beer, like, we not even have that concept. That like, what do you mean you're not making it? Like, they don't like. Everyone's raised with domestic macro lagers that are forever available, and then all of a sudden you go to craft beer and there's this scarcity, because that's just how it works. It's a part of the game. There is not scarcity with Square Wheels and Oats and Cream, but there is scarcity with some of the other and it's just part of the game. And disappointment is a part of being a beer fan. It's
every day.
But here's the thing. Like, if you didn't, if you happened to miss out on on Wheelhouse, this fantastic West Coast IPA collab with Matron, like, in a couple of months' time, you can be sure that Fine Balance is going to make another excellent West Coast IPA, guaranteed.
Yeah, like Trailhead came out inspired by that.
It's it is interesting, like, educating people for that, but it is the same. You're right. Like, you'll have something, especially collabs. Like, they're really hard, right? Because you do this collab and people love them, and then people are still, are you ever going to do this again? And it's like, well, probably never. Actually, we will never do that again. We might do something similar to that. Those people were great. It's not because we didn't like working with them. It's just kind of how collabs are. It's like a fun thing. Brewers get together. I guess Caitlyn got Andrew and I got like that. We went. It was Andrew and I who came for the collab.
I loved it.
One of my favorite days in brewing, because Jeff taught me to put in the hops and go up the ladder with him. It was great. It was awesome. It was a fun day. But brewers get together and talk to each other, eat together, learn things. But if you don't know that's what it is, like, and you're thinking like, oh, you just do it again some other time, it's like, everyone's really busy, and that's not really what it is for. It's just like a fun thing, to learn from each other and give you something you wouldn't have got. But you got to have it. Well, you didn't get to have it because you're wishing you had it. But other people got to have it.
Savage. And that's facts. I mean, like, sometimes people redo collabs. I've noticed lately. Like, we did a collab with, I don't know where it is, with a brewery in Quebec. The Vacances there, with L'Espace Public, and we did it one time on draft, and then we did a different version of it, and then they were like, hey, then we did like a different fruited version, but like, oh, they want to can one. Which one do we do? And we canned it, and then every year they just bring it back every year. They don't even talk to us about it. They just do it. So that's become like a regular thing. That I've seen a few breweries do. Here and then they usually keep the collab thing on there. They probably just ask the collab partner, like, hey, people really loved it. Should we bring it back every year or something like that? So sometimes as a consumer, you can get lucky if it was popular enough and the brewery was interested enough to redo it. But yeah, you can't bank on that at any point in time, and you just got to understand, I guess, that, hey, this experience might be a one-time thing, and if it's amazing, you never have it again, then goddamn, you remember it fondly, and it is what it is. And the breweries are typically that good that, like you said, they would be more things similar at almost any given time. So it's not the end of the world. It's okay, and that's why the FOMO, you have to get rid of this FOMO or your life is going to be miserable.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And well, also just look at the get an in you can over your left shoulder. That one took 5 years to come back around again.
Yeah, did the first one.
I would not recommend hanging on to beer FOMO for 5 years. But if a collab that you were keen on the first time happens to come back around after that amount of time, then that's maybe a time to like jump on the online order as soon as it comes out.
Gotta understand.
And I guess you were saying before, like, when someone loves a beer, like, and they're coming in and they're buying it, and I know it's not going to last, and I know the person well enough, I will message and be like, hey, just so you know, we're down to 224s left. And they're like, hey, can you hold this for me? And, I will try to regularly do that as much as I can for people that I know like that style, because I know these people understand it. I know they know they're not going to have it again, but I also know they appreciate, and the stuff, your customers will do for you as well. Not like personally, but they're talking at a restaurant and they're like, what a great brewery is. And they don't have to do these things, but people do that, or they want somewhere that has something on draft. They also want cans of something, and it's just some things might happen from these, just making these relationships and having these relationships with your consumers, like your regulars, and just doing something small for them is such a big deal for them, and it could turn into something that also benefits you. Maybe that's not why you're doing it, but it could, and it's such a simple thing to be like, you know what, I know this guy loves this beer. Like, what a simple thing to just tell him that we're almost out of it if he wants me to hold some, right? So
I love that. That's really cool, and that's coming back to what we were saying earlier
And
about the... Oh, sorry, go, Caitlyn. Please. I should have looked down.
a finger up.
I think at the end of the finger. Oh, I think at the end of the day too, it like helps that like we're craft beer lovers as well. Like, that's why like I got into craft beer. I love craft beer. I'm still on maybe not right now, but still on the consumer side. My husband is still on the consumer side. That brewery that you were talking about earlier, Craig, like celebrating their anniversary this weekend, like, Tim got some of their beers this morning on order, and he's super psyched about it. And like, we've loved craft beer for so long, and it's so exciting that he gets excited about craft beer still, even though, I work in the craft beer industry. So to like what Jamie said, like, being able to put aside some beer for some people, it's like, we do that because, if we were on the other side of it, like we would feel so great if like our favorite brewery did that for us. And it just like really creates that connection because we love craft beer too. So we would want anybody to do that for us too.
Yeah.
And when you can go to like a new brewery, like I go down to Burlington sometimes with one of my friends who is also now a person who works at the brewery part time. But we also went to Lachute to Sir John's,
Oh
and I
yeah.
knew like another guy who I'm friends with from coming into the brewery. I was like, oh, he would love this. This I knew the hops he likes just from like being friends with him, but serving him regularly. So you can just because they do singles too, not 4 packs all the time. So you could, I can grab like a single and be like, oh, hey, like I got you this. And it's just something, and when I do drink, he does that too. So it's, when he knows I am drinking, he's like, oh, I'll grab this. And it's just like a fun thing to do because, yeah, we get excited about trying something new. And when one knows like the hops you drink, the style you drink, and something, and finds a beer that they're like, oh, I thought you might like. I'm not that anal. They could find something that's similar. But if they know the hops you drink just from conversation, that's so exciting to get something that, and someone thought of you and I guess was like, oh, I knew you liked the style of this beer. It's like really like just a nice gesture. And yeah, we can give that to people quite often because we're just behind the bar doing it. So
Right.
pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool. And that captures the entire ethos of craft beer. I really find that like one of my good friends in Vermont, funnily enough as well, told me about something he called just beer karma. It's always like you're always sort of giving it out and then it comes on back to you. And you sort of like, I always make sure I go, and I know Nate and I do this for each other all the time as far as like he'll go and get stuff for me there, I'll get stuff for him there, and we'll figure out how to ship it or whatever. And like we've got a bunch of other friends who do that. And I don't know. I think that's kind of what it is, isn't it? Like if someone got even one can, but hey man, I thought I was somewhere here and I thought you'd like this. I'm like, that is fucking beautiful. That is like, that's a day maker right there. Like just that someone thought about you enough to get you one damn can of something because they were at some special place or whatever. Like, I love that. I just think that's really what it's all about. And it's like, if you can sort of help somebody out and grab something for them, and particularly in beer, because of all the things we talk about, a lot of these things are one-offs and you got one chance to get it. And if you can help somebody out, I don't know, it always kind of comes back. And even if you're not doing it for that reason, you're just doing it because like this is, a beautiful thing to be shared that's made by artisans and people in the community who employ people in the community who really care about high quality products. And it's just like, I know it's one of my favorite parts of the whole industry. And even talk about that. I love that story, Jamie, that you just there. You were thinking about a customer. This is not even like a mate or something like that you really, something like, hey, I know this dude will love this shit. I'm gonna grab him one. That's so cool. I love that. That's just, and like, Caitlyn's husband, Tim, he's hooked me up with the stuff from Five Paddles in when they were doing all of the pumpkin beers for years. He would just get it and send it to me. And like, he's just such a cool dude that I talked to for probably like 5 or 6 years online. He's just I never met him in person, actually. I've actually met Caitlyn, but never met Tim. And just like that sort of relationship, and he messaged me and say, hey, my wife's on the podcast tonight, I heard. That's amazing. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, I got the Third Moon stuff. If you want them, let me know. I was like, man, that is just a beautiful thing to do. And like, he's always done that, and I've done a couple favors for him as well to try and at least pay him back for what he's done for me. But I just find that it's like this cool infrastructure, like just like little like web of people that sort of help each other out, particularly they're in different places. You can get stuff that someone can't, and then it just makes it fun. And then you can,
And I think there was a big thing of that, especially in the Ontario beer trading scene, kind of before everyone had online shops. Like when the trading network was a bit was a bit more active. That was that was a whole thing when people were like hooking people people up in other parts of the province that they couldn't get their shit for,
and the
like
Boncat and shit.
Yeah, and there was a lot of relationship building. That's how that's how I made a lot of friends in the industry through relationships like that. And it was just through like wanting to be able to share your the good shit from your local area with friends that that you've never met in person, just from
Just
other parts of the industry. It's insane how many connections that we end up making through relationships like that.
I think on a different scale for making relations, when you're on such a small scale of staff, because we all do deliveries. Like people are a lot of deliveries, but like Nathan for sure knows, like I've done Ottawa deliveries and shown up to his house like a couple times. And,
Yep.
it's like my daughter. It's like, like you do get to meet people that way. And they're just like, sometimes maybe we'll use a third party, but a lot of times it's like Andrew and I don't know if people know, like it's the owner of Five Mountains is showing up and giving them this box, or the brewers, or when it's me, I'm assuming they must think something because I'm like bringing a keg, and like I don't know why they would send this girl, but not really. But it's like, but you meet people and they're just like so excited to talk to you because they're like, oh, you obviously work there, and da 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 da, and I'm always like messaging them, being like, hey, I'm coming up to Ottawa today. If you won't be here between this time and this time, please let me know an alternative place I could put it, or when I should go. Like I'm very like thorough about it, but like people do seem to want to like talk to you or meet you or email you and tell you what ones they liked once they know you are a person that isn't just delivering, like not part of the company, I should say, delivering beer. Not just, I think everyone, I think, is just as important as everyone doing every job. So all I'm saying is someone that isn't part of the company that could answer anything, but the connections you can make from those people as well is great, like just talking to people in their driveways, and they're just so pumped to tell you how amazing the beer is. So I can go back and tell the brewers they're doing great things. That's pretty fun. And I think that's, just talking to you, even Nathan, like at your house, like it's, talking to someone you see like online, but you can talk in person. It's really nice. Like it's just,
Yeah. Oh, and like that conversation that we had at my front door, it was the flashpoint that led to this conversation today. Truly, like this came from an idea that you suggested to me, and I'm so glad that we had that conversation, because we wouldn't have been chatting today otherwise.
yeah, where I told Caitlyn, I was like, it really was me going, you should talk to Caitlyn, because I bet you she's really good to talk to. I'm not great on things and talking, but Caitlyn looks like she's got it together. But no, and I appreciate it. But it is like a good way.
I am too when I am not delayed. It was a joke.
That's a good joke.
We're really banking on you here.
No, you've really both been fantastic. This has awesome. This has been a perspective that we've not really had on on the podcast before. And like Jamie, I'm really grateful that you gave me that feedback, and that that we kind of went down this direction to get a different perspective that we had kind of neglected previously. So I'm really glad that you two were willing to come on and chat with us and provide this perspective that you have for everything that you guys do in the scene. This has been really insightful and a lot of fun. And
kicking
we're
off
really
a new
grateful
season
that you came on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Are you guys okay if we just pause for 2 seconds? The bathroom is calling aggressively. Yeah, I figured. And then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll finish up there. Sure. So we'll be back in 2 seconds. Alrighty. So to bring it home, as Nate was just saying, this has been a real pleasure. I'm really grateful for you both for, as Nate said, taking the time to come on and to kick off the new season and to give these insights that we just never had before from people in your position. And I almost feel like it's like undervalued, as far as like you're like in this interesting middle ground with like feet on the ground, like you're there and you are there, but you're also on the management side. So like you've got this like kind of unique thing that maybe that as an employee over the years, I've always found that the best managers are the ones that have done the job that I'm doing and sort of have this understanding, as opposed to just being management looking down and never really understanding. And it feels like you both are that sort of like fantastic, middle ground type of situation where you're able to relate directly to everyone that reports to you because you've done their job. And you probably still do their job to a degree because you maybe pouring sometimes and things like serving and such. And then also, on the more, where the admin or managerial side. So it's No, I just think it's really unique insights, and it's exactly. I think it's the perfect way to kick off this series as well, with just something we hadn't had before. So thank you both for really truly for taking the time and for sharing your insights. It's phenomenal, and like without bullshitting in any shape or form, you're two of our favorite breweries in the province. We absolutely gas you both up constantly and consistently.
And but like both of you have been in our top 10 the last 3 years.
Yeah, since we started the Ontario top 10. And I don't see that changing anytime soon at all. And it's just really, it's even cooler to see breweries that we love dearly, from both the product and the people, and then continue to make, just this phenomenal stuff, and then to share these sort of insights. It means a lot to us. It's very, very cool. And we thank you both very much for taking the time and,
Yeah.
hanging out, sharing these gems with the people. You're champions.
Yeah.
And it was very
Thank
funny. You guys are both hilarious. It was a very entertaining podcast.
Yeah, it really was.
Truly. So before to bring it back home, is there anything else we wanted to tap into, or we feel like I know we hit all of our points that we originally did, but is there anything maybe like you want to leave people with at all, like a bit of a parting thought, perhaps?
I was just gonna say, like, I think it's good that you are doing this series, because I do think, maybe not the taproom per se, but I do think that our job is a bit, I don't want to say undervalued by like either Jeff or Andrew or anything. I think they, just from meeting Jeff, as you know, I told you, Craig, that one time that Jeff should be on a shirt, because I have like I just think he's like a very cool person in the industry. I like listening to his podcast. I'm always like, man, he seems to got it together, this guy, and
He does.
and Andrew's like this. He's such a good guy. But I do think overall, like, people don't understand how much taproom managers do, like, in the back sometimes and in the front, for me at least too, and I'm sure Caitlyn before. So I think it's just really like good to see every picture of the brewery, of where everyone is. And we all, okay, I wear flip-flops, but there's that saying where you all put on the boots when you come to work, like like you all put on the same boots, but we're all doing something to better the same thing. We're working together for the same goal. And I think people should see that is inclusive to the front of house, if not, just at the back of house or an owner. Yeah, that's all. I just think I appreciate you guys taking the time, because I think it is an important, and for the customers like that come in to the tap rooms, like, they only know, like, well, Jeff is always sitting in the tap room, but like, they know Caitlyn, they know me. Like, if you were going to mention something about Fine Balance and it was a customer coming in, they're going to think of me, right? And it's like, and I know that's not a great thing all the time, because it's hard to go around in Kingston and not be like inconspicuous, but that does hold a lot of weight on you too, because you imagine you go out and you have to hold yourself like accountable to a certain standard, because you are the face of a brewery. And that wasn't something, and I should have written it in the notes, that because it was something I wanted to say, is like, I go out in the day and it's a small town, and I can't be upset with someone at a regular coffee shop because 4 of those people come into my, and it happens every day. So, my friends think it's hilarious. My husband thinks, oh my God, so funny. Everyone knows you. I'm like, right. Except I can't be mad at this person right now that did this, because I like to look happy about it. But anyways, I do just think it's something people don't think about, like, at all. And our jobs as a whole, and what it must be like to be a face kind of recognized with a company, and out being the face outside of it too. But I think now, like, doing these series might bring, not just for taproom managers, but whoever else you talk to and see, like, delivery people, perfect example too.
Great idea,
that makes
actually.
the sale for the next thing. If this person's filler inward, and you'll never order from them again. I don't care how good the beer is. If this person is awful to me and I know they work for the company, it's like, you know what, that beer was great, but there's just as good a beer, or 1% less, these are great people to talk to, that have anyways, that's all. It's
I
a
love
bit
it.
of a blather, but
No, that's what it's for. That's why we have no time limits, Jamie. You can rant all you damn well,
Absolutely.
please. You are good.
Absolutely.
Um, I love it. Hey, Caitlin, is there anything you want to wrap up with at all? You don't have to, by the way.
Yeah, no, I just, I really appreciate you guys and what you do. And, I listen to your podcast and my husband does. And like Jamie said, I think it's really great that you guys are trying to focus on, more about the business as a whole. And yeah, there's a lot of areas in craft beer that, you know, do need recognition. And, it's a big moving wheel, and people work really hard to make this all work. And gosh, I came from like a music background. Like I used to work in the music industry, and I never thought I'd work in craft beer. And, but gosh, I'm so happy I do. And, I love the people I work with, and I love the people I get to meet through these kinds of things. And, Jamie bringing, this to my attention and bringing me in on this, like, thank you, Jamie. And I've learned so much from Jamie already. And like, we've known each other a very short amount of time. And, yeah, craft beer is just so great, and I love it.
Right.
And I'm so happy it's growing, and like tap rooms too. Like it's great that tap rooms are becoming, more of a community focus. They're becoming more diverse, more inclusive, every year, and people are learning more, and people are growing. And craft beer is for everybody. So making that happen starts, I think, with a large portion of the tap room and how people feel comfortable, and, people feel safe. And I think that's a big job of ours too, Jamie, is, making sure people feel welcomed and feel inclusive. And yeah, so just, keep learning, keep growing, and making craft beer great.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great
Awesome.
message. I couldn't thank you both more. This is just fantastic. Truly, really, really, really enjoyed it. And I really hope everyone got a lot out of it, and a bit more perspective as to, what some of the other roles that don't really get spoken about as much in the industry. And yeah, this is great. This is sort of like, I really felt like it kicked things off in a way that's like, you're right, with the delivery people, speaking to them, and like really just touching on different parts of it to really just showcase. Well, I feel like it lets people know that, hey, there's other jobs you can do in beer besides brew too.
Yeah.
And have a real impact on the business, like you both have. Like, clearly you've had lasting impacts on the business and on the community, to the point where you can go to be careful what you do when you walk around Kingston. That's hilarious. It's probably same for you in Whitby, Caitlin, as well. Probably Oshawa too. So to bring it home, would you both better let us know where everyone can find your respective breweries? So say, Jamie, where can everyone find Fine Balance online and in real life?
Yes, www.finebalancebrewing. I want to say com or ca, and at Fine Balance Brewing is the Instagram handle. We do have Facebook. I'm assuming it's Fine Balance Brewing. Never seen it. Yeah, but you can order online. Go to Toronto every week to 2 weeks. We ship to Ottawa, or as you learn, sometimes we drive there. So it could be me. Yeah. Anyway.
Love that. Check it out. And Caitlin, where can everyone find Town?
Townbrewery.ca, Townbrewery on Instagram. We are kind of everywhere, LCBO, grocery stores. You can get deliveries online. You can find us at your favorite restaurant. And yeah, we are actually having 3 locations this summer. So we have our tap room in Whitby. We have our pump house location opening up next weekend at the lake, which I'm so excited. It's going to be I'm going to be there all summer drinking after I have this child. So you can see me there.
You deserve it.
And, and we actually have a location. Thank you. We have a location opening up in Toronto, a patio at Frankenoak, which
No
Jeff will
shit.
probably talk about more on the podcast.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so it's
sick.
going to be very
God
exciting. Going to
damn.
be a very busy summer, but you can probably find us everywhere.
I love that. Amazing. That is exciting for everyone. And just once again, thank you both. You're both exemplary ambassadors for both of the brands. I think
Absolutely.
your respective owners are very, very lucky to have you both. Truly, I think you're fantastic, and it's exactly what craft beer is about. And this conversation was
Oh,
truly enjoyable. Thank you both
Yeah.
very, very much.
It really was. It really was a genuine pleasure to chat with both of you. Really appreciate both of you coming on. And I'm going to throw out one more plug for both breweries. As someone who regularly drives between Ottawa and Toronto, like one thing that I'll shout out is that both Fine Balance and Town are a 5-minute drive off the 401. It's
less.
so easy. Like it's so easy to get to both of them.
It's
You
like
can
3.
get to like if you're going through Kingston, you like if you're like just one exit off the 401, it's like 5 minutes to the door of Fine Balance. And it's the same thing in Whitby to get to the town tap room. Just 5 minutes off the highway. And for someone who does that drive regularly, like that's it. Like it's so great to have like breweries that are easy to get to off the highway, and that is the case with both of these. So if you're ever on that corridor, just know that make a stop in Whitby, make a stop in Kingston.
Do it. You won't regret it, folks. Thank you so much again. Stick around. We'll wrap this up and then we'll finish up off air. So thank you all again, folks. Thank you for watching and listening to the first episode of the Business of Beer series or season, whatever you want to call it. Very excited to continue this, and I think we kicked it off properly. So thank you for that. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell, Nathaniel,
Ding.
so you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast, and check out the long form audio, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Give us those 5 stars, just like we talked about. Be aggressive with the 5 stars. Don't give 1 star. Give 5. Or maybe don't. It's okay. And we also have the videos now on Spotify. We're putting everything on there, which is fantastic. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.